Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening again. Saturday evening, so first time I'm going to be live on Saturday for the longest time since last year. And yeah, this is going to be the Thor Love and Thunder discussion. So I just like to greet everyone a good evening and also hope you guys had a productive and wonderful week despite all the rains and all the problems that we have in the world. We still have the time to enjoy some stuff. Now, I do have a panel. I'm going to welcome them in a few seconds. But yeah, do smash the like button if you want more content like this. If not, just provide feedback. If you want to be a guest, the next discussion, send me a message over, send me an email. That's fine also. So let's go ahead and introduce the guest first. Let me just go ahead and start with Jay from the Losing Streak Gaming team. Also affiliate ako sa kanila. So good evening, Jay. How are you?
What's up, man? Thank you for inviting me again here.
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have the shades right now because I'm in full critical drinker mode, I think. But yeah, you're drinking.
Yo,
You're drinking.
I need the pineapple juice because of my hypertension, man.
Okay, that's fine. Right. So,
For this movie.
um, for this movie, you have the poster. So good on you for having that poster. You watched in sa UP Town Center. Am I right?
Yeah, I did. So don't
Mm-hmm.
dox me or something.
No. But yeah, thank you for being here. I know you have a stream later, and let's try to make the introductions quick na rin, that I
You're
know
welcome. Yeah, thank
where
you,
we
JM.
are going to discuss this. Kuya Bols, again, for the longest, tagal mo na hindi pumupunta dito, but thank you so much for being here, Kuya Bols.
Yes, we are back, and I'm
Mhm.
just wondering why you guys speaking in English.
Yeah, yeah, you can speak
That
Tagalog.
it's
Wala
not
naman kami
my
problema.
main language, pare. Pero
We
Thanks
can
for
it's
always
okay, it's
talk
representing
in
okay.
Dallas
English.
Mavericks, pre. So,
Yeah, I have
yeah.
no other cap for Marvel, so it's the only
Barbor.
thing I can grab.
Kamusta naman, sir?
Well, for this movie, o siguro later na lang yun, no? Pero
Alam mo yan eh. I
sa
mean,
ngayon,
ikaw,
I'm
how's
fine.
life?
Maraming ganap sa community lately. We had the ToyCon previously
Mm,
Yeah.
last week, and
yeah, I
then
was there.
this movie came out, and also the Lightyear movie came out. But that will
Mm-hmm.
be for
Mm.
another topic. Let's talk about that some other time. As of
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm just relaxing on a lot of things that happened last week.
Yeah. Ang ganda ng segment ninyo ni ano. Buti niya tinutuloy niya pa rin yung topic-topic ni
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Josh.
yeah.
That's
Topic
awesome
with
to
the
Yeah.
hear.
Game Salug show. Josh,
Mm-mm.
my partner. Shout out to you, man.
I think Just is ano ngayon eh, nasa Taguig siya eh. Nakalimutan ko nga reply. Nakalimutan ko siya reply ang kanina ko na nabasa. Because he
Mhm.
still has yung ano ko, yung t-shirt ko. I haven't got it from
Hanggang
him. So,
ngayon.
Oh,
at saka men, pumayat ako eh. So, isipin ko, yung sana ako ng ano, pwedeng small na lang. Kasi pumayat ako. But anyway, Kuya Balls, always a
yeah.
pleasure being here. And I enjoy each
Yes.
and every time
Likewise.
nag-uusap tayo. Shout outs also to the Zero City people. Wherever you are, kung
Yes.
nanonood kayo.
Shout out,
Comment
guys.
lang kayo, guys. Now, I'm going to bring in a new blood. But she's also a podcaster. So, na-meet ko to nung nagkaroon ng ano, ng discussion regarding Multiverse of Madness kay PJ from Chill Talks. And she's also a writer, I think, and also a musician, singer as well. Let me just introduce Maxine Cruz. No relation, but also talented on her own right. Good evening, Maxine. How are you
Thank you
doing?
very much. Good
Yes.
evening. I'm tired as any college student would be, but what's new? I'm just excited to get to talk about movies.
Mm. Mhm.
So, ayan. I mean, you're tired because of school, not because of life.
Yeah, actually, well, it all intermingles. It was actually a very rough week in terms of some personal things, but this is not the place to talk about that. Let's focus on
Yeah.
cinema.
Yep. So
Yes.
let's go ahead and focus on cinema. As said a while ago, we are going to discuss more Love and Thunder. And let's go ahead and start siguro with Kuya Balls. I know naging busy ka with ToyCon, but you still had the time to host an event.
Yeah.
So how did that
Mm-mm.
go for you? I mean, that was the ano, 'di ba? That was a premiere showing of this movie. So how was the experience of hosting and also how was the movie itself?
Yung experience ng pag-host for the Amplify people. Of course, it's
Mm,
with Year One Entertainment. it's a total blast for me. Sobrang saya nung part na yun kasi para sa akin I got the chance to express my love towards MCU. Kumbaga, if it's time to geek out, it's time to geek out, and that's the perfect time for me to show
Mhm.
my love for this franchise. Kahit hanggang endgame nga lang eh. Pero anyway, medyo ano no, medyo political yung statement. Pero sobrang
No,
saya
it's
kasi
not.
I got to be a part and I was recognized as a Marvel fan to host that specific moment for the
This is very
Amplified people
funny,
or
interrupt lang kita. Pero this is funny
yeah,
pre. Kasi remember the last time na nag-usap tayo, you were asking me for a way kung paano ka pwedeng gumawa ng ganito. Bigla na lang dumating yung opportunity sa'yo. Di ba? Pansin mo? Biglang dumating yung
yeah.
opportunity sa'yo.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very good.
Mm.
Congrats.
Well, there was this there's this dream of mine sana hopefully no on one of these days
Mm.
ma-invite tayo ng Disney Philippines or Marvel Philippines to attend the initial screening, yung talagang first day screening na ginagawa nila dito sa Pilipinas, because as a Marvel fan, that's a goal. That's a content creator goal to be
For
invited or
sure.
to attend
Yeah.
one of those kinds of gathering with a Marvel fan along with my boss Alodia, along with
Uh-huh.
every other Marvel fans in the Philippines. Yun yung goal talaga. And for me to host a initial screening for Thor Love and Thunder, I think that's a giant step towards what I'm seeing or foreseeing to do as of now, pare. So sobrang nakakatuwa 'yon.
Yeah, every experience na pwedeng ibigay sa'yo, you have to grab it, especially yung ganito. The more na magkaroon ng recognition yung name mo, the more na makikilala ka ng tao. And siguro doon ako mag-deviate when it comes to having initial screenings. I already accepted na hindi ako makaka-receive ng ganun just because of my reviews. And I know Jay knows why. Jay knows why I'm not going to receive those invites, but it's okay for me because I'm a consumer. I'd like to pay for the ticket. And sino bang ayaw talagang mapanood din in advance yung movie na yun. But I congratulate you for that opportunity na meron ka. And hopefully, may natanong kang nasagot nila dun sa host.
Well, that's another story. Kasi
Sorry, well,
maraming
sige.
tao na umattend na na-invite dun sa initial screening just to bond with the Amplify people. But they are not really
Hardcore
quote-unquote
na
as
katulad mo.
an hardcore. Hindi nga ako hardcore, pare, kasi disclaimer guys, hindi ako nagbabasa ng comics. So
Sorry.
my knowledge in the MCU or Marvel movie was purely based on the games and the movies. So labas
Same.
ako sa
Okay.
comics kasi medyo ewan ko, tamad data ako magbasa, pero hindi kasi nag-work sa akin yung comics. So hindi gaya ng mga Class S halimaw na talagang nagbabasa ng comics all throughout. J and JM, we have
No,
a lot
no.
of people who,
Hindi ko finalo ng buo pare. I mean, I have background pero I'm not like
yeah,
yung
but you
hardcore.
read some of it, di ba?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oo. So, it still counts. Yung mga ganong klaseng reference, pare, yun yung mga god mode ng ng pop culture ng Marvel. Yung talagang
Mhm.
alam yung comics, alam yung Marvel, alam yung even yung mga fan theories. Kasi may mga yun may mga bigat yun eh. So, iba pa yung ganong klaseng level ng pagiging fan ng Marvel. Pero para sa akin, kahit na at least on the movie side, na-recognize ako as a Marvel fan to even host the event.
Yeah. Good on you,
Yeah.
pre. Yung masabi ko. And
Oh, man. Good on you.
sorry, Maxine, you were requesting for the links. If you could go to the private chat, the
Yeah,
links are
yeah,
ready
I
there
see it.
for you.
I see
Okay.
it. Thank you.
So, yeah, Kuya Bols, more opportunities in the future. Yun ang
Hopefully.
wish ko sa inyo. And dikit ka lang
Yes.
kay Alodia. I know when Alodia does realize or she gets to see real talent, kinukuha niya kagad. I know the person myself, and she is a big recognizer of talents talaga. So hopefully makita niya yung hard work mo on this one. But yeah, so ahead and tanungin natin ang ating susunod na friend. No, so ang aking almost daily kakwentuhan bullshit stuff. Jay. Almost na
Really?
naman. Jay. Almost.
Tagalog ko na lang din siguro. And okay
Yeah,
lang
sure.
naman.
Go ahead.
I mean, sorry for being late. I mean, I've been catching up with the Resident Evil series din sa Netflix. So, I understand your pain now. Tungkol dun. So,
You
and
better stop that before bago ako magalit dyan sa Resident Evil.
well,
One
that
at a time.
yeah, that one deserves a separate podcast. But yeah, I'm doing fine. Okay lang naman sa akin eh. So, ayun. Ako kasi medyo sumunod ako sa comics naman. So, kung si Kuya Bols sa games at saka sa movies, ako naman sumusunod naman din ako sa mga movies. Pero more on the comics. Mas naging interested ako kasi sa comics na. And then I wanted to compare it dun sa mga movies. So, there's pretty much a lot to say, especially when after watching Love and Thunder. Tinignan ko mamuti kasi one friend of us sabi na Love and Thor daw eh. It's Love and Thunder.
Paano ka pa? Napatingin ka pa sa poster, pero doon ako natawa eh.
Tinignan ko muli.
Oo nga, Maxine went out. Oh, baka nagkakaroon siya ng internet issue, but siguro antayin na natin siya. Pero let's go ahead and discuss na rin mamaya na natin introduce
Context guys, kasi umuulan eh.
Yeah, there's a problem with the internet, man. To those people watching in abroad, we apologize if we have shitty connection right now. There is a very strong rain falling in Manila. But siguro, simulan na natin. Ay, hindi, bago muna, yun ako muna. I just went off watching Multiverse of Madness before. And kasama ko si Raiji and also si Migo when we discussed that shit movie. Not really shit, pero I wanted to love that movie.
Today, no?
Hindi ko alam si Raiji kung nasaan eh. But, yun lang masabi ko kung nasa si Raiji, sana nandito ka. But, ayun lang, for me, this continues on yung disappointment ko when it comes to the MCU. And for me, it's already declining for the most part. The main reason why I'm not really ranting, but just presenting the ideas as is, na lumalabas as negative siya, is because I've been a fan of the Marvel movies ever since Blade. It was pre-MCU. Kaya medyo mainit ang ulo ko.
Dismayado ka lang.
Yes, very dismayado ko. And when it comes to story writing kasi, sobrang decline na siya. Yun lang masasabi ko, mamaya na yung context. But let me just introduce Maxine Cruz. No relation. Parehas kaming Cruz, pero no relation. Ikaw, how was the movie for you?
All right. So the last thing I heard was Jay saying that he's read the comics and stuff. So for me, like, I guess I'll give context into my being a Marvel fan. And like, I started being a fan when I was young, like Iron Man 1. That's when I started. So basically the beginning of the MCU. And and I think for the longest time, like, I really enjoyed it. I consider myself having grown up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But since Phase 4 started, like, my views on it kind of changed because of like the fact that there are a lot of new characters, the Infinity Saga's over, so it was a bit of a clean slate, fresh start type of thing for me. And though there have been like Phase 4 movies that I have enjoyed, there are some that I haven't gotten to yet, and there are some that kind of made me think like, okay, I kind of liked what happened pre-Endgame better than what's happening post-Endgame. So in the case of Thor, Love and Thunder, I didn't hate it. Like, casual viewing, light watch, it was like it did the job. It did the trick for me. But as a movie in the MCU, like fitting into the whole, that's where I kind of had like some stuff to point out and think about, but I will save all of that for later. And I guess on my end, it was a lot to expect that Thor, I guess because Thor is like an OG, he's from the original Avengers cast in Marvel. I thought that maybe his movie would get everything back on track because though there have been shows I enjoyed in Phase 4, I felt like they were a lot more dispersed. Like in comparison to Phase 1, na even if everyone was being established, there was like a goal or a direction they were being pointed towards. And then in Phase 4, they're all being reestablished, new ones are being established. I still don't see the goal. And I guess it's a big responsibility for one movie to veer it into that direction. But I thought there would at least be like a bit of a beginning for that, given everything else that's going on in Phase 4.
Yeah.
So,
this is very funny kasi nakita ko kayo nung umaga na they now admit na walang direction ng Phase 4.
Really?
So, yeah,
Kanila na galing mismo
you
yan.
could look for it in Facebook pa maghanap ka rin ng links regarding Phase 4. Alam ko meron ako nabasa kanina which a few friends and I from the West have always been saying this. When you're trying to stitch up kung ano nangyayari sa lahat, everything feels disjointed. Katulad ng sinabi ni Maxine kanina, everything feels not connected. Everything feels different from the way they should be. And as opposed to 1, 2, 3 na phases, malayo siya. And if you guys realize then na Phase 4 has the longest phase na na
Yes.
ongoing pa
Yeah.
rin
Yeah,
hanggang ngayon.
it is.
Includes the
Mhm.
series, pre. And nga, for me, dun ako nagkakaroon ng problema talaga. Pero before nun, Adrian dropping by. Thank you so much,
Hey,
sir.
Adrian.
You
What's
know.
up?
Partner ni Jay
Thank
sa
you.
sa
Yeah, man.
Losing
What's up?
Streak Gaming. So,
Yeah.
siguro
Adrian,
let's
manood
go
ka na.
ahead. Panoorin mo na.
Ayaw
Um,
naman,
let-
ayaw naman spoil dito sa atin eh.
so
Oh,
let's
wait
go
till
ahead
the
and start
visuals come.
later. Let's go ahead and start siguro with the good before we dive into most of the things na kailangan na sabihin. Let's go ahead and start with the good. Maxine, I would like
Release
you
the
to start
good.
with the good muna. When your realization also experience the movie na.
Sige. So I think maybe out of the four of us, I was the one that enjoyed it the most. Because, like,
Mhm.
I'm a fan of the director. I'm a fan of Taika. I really like how he directs kasi na lighthearted. Sometimes I really look for that. Like, lighthearted, funny, things like that. And what I liked about his previous movies was that everything he would do would have a point. So, like, you think something's useless in the beginning, it comes out in
Uh-huh.
the end. But I will say something about that in this movie later when we critique it. But, like, yeah, so
Mhm.
at first, enjoy naman. Like, I enjoy seeing the performances. I loved Chris Hemsworth and Natalie. I liked seeing Natalie back. Though I wish you could have seen her a bit more. Christian Bale, of course, did a good job. Pero I'll get
Mhm.
to more of my comments later. So, like, yeah, as I said earlier, if you take it as a solo movie on its own, it's fun. It's fun light watching. But for service towards the MCU, I just wanted a little bit more. And I was actually very surprised with the runtime of this. Like, I would have wanted
It's
it to be
short.
a little bit longer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
it's short.
it was
Mm.
an hour and 52 minutes exactly. So I thought like there could be like more time to do more things to, I guess, smoothen some transitions between each scenes, explain a little more, and, like, I guess also not kick the Guardians out so quickly. I was also surprised na they
There's
were only there
something
for
I
a
need to
bit.
say that
Yeah.
Yeah.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, like, I'll just save the rest for later. So overall, I enjoyed it. I can't say that I hated it. I cannot say that I hated it. I enjoyed it. But ayun, of course, you can love something and critique it at the same time. So
Okay.
I'll get to
Exactly.
those
Yeah,
later.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an echo chamber na katulad ng iniisip na tao. Yun naman sabi ko. Jay.
Hey, what's up? Well, she pretty much took the words out of my mouth as well.
What?
Pero
What?
ano, may wow,
Meow,
meow.
meow. Yeah.
Yan.
Mhm.
Siguro yung hindi na lang na mention din. I love the soundtrack, man. Yung pinili nila yung ano.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The soundtrack
Yes.
really goes well with Thor's character. And ano pa ba? Well, medyo na-inlove din ako sa itsura ni Natalie Portman din. Ano? Ang ganda lang pagkakaano na ng kay Mighty Thor. Well, yun lang muna. Well, tama naman kasi si Maxine din eh. We can always critique the things that we love, especially when we see something that there's a little bit tiny bit wrong about them. So, as a regular moviegoer as well, I really enjoy the movie. Pero since I'm also a what do you call this? A Marvel
Purist.
fan, pero hindi naman purist. Fan lang talaga ako kasi kung
Because
purist, I would
comics, diba?
yeah.
Usually, di ba, pagdating sa yung mga fans talaga ng comic books, they have strong opinions pagdating sa mga
They have
characters.
strong opinions. Well, I would like to keep mine open since we're talking about pagkakaiba ng MCU tsaka yung Marvel Comics din, yung MC. So, nung umpisa pala ng MC, parang nakita ko yung inconsistencies niya pagdating sa comics. Pero I kept an open mind thinking na maybe this is the cinematics universe version of what they get from the comics na rin. To, parang to cater the audience more. Unlike pagdating kasi sa comics, sobrang ibang-iba talaga eh. I mean, iba yung agenda ni Thanos, iba yung agenda ni yung nangyari doon, or rather the X-Men are there. While dito, parang name pa lang, especially pagpasok pala doon sa Multiverse of Madness, and then dito Multiverse of Madness sa podcast day. Teka lang. So there's something there na pinag-usapan namin ni JM dati at ni Gail, na they could have just picked a different Earth number.
No, you could say it.
Ayun
I mean, alam din ni Maxine kung ano yun.
They keep mentioning 616
Yeah.
pucha. This is not
Exactly.
616, 619 siguro. Rey Mysterio. Sige, okay, good. That's fine. Oo. Si Mysterio, si Rey Mysterio na. Pero nakaka-trigger kasi yun ang moment na yun. This is not 616, especially what's been happening ever since Endgame, or even after Endgame. Anyway, yun, parang nahagad ako. Anyway, kalma. As a moviegoer, I enjoyed the movie. Especially pag pili din nila ng soundtrack na gusto ko, na hype ako nun. Especially nung pasugod doon, si Thor, yung parang yanamnam na yung kanyang retirement with the Guardians of the Galaxy. going with one other world, trying to save them for whatever. Pero as a comic book fan, of course, I'm not a fan of what they did dun sa movie. I mean, they were trying at least, diba, with Mighty Thor, trying to stick
They
to their
tried
character.
too much.
Pero they tried too much. Yun lang yun, masasabi ko.
Mm.
Actors also are very good. Di ko nga nalaman si Christian Bale pala yung kontrabida. Di ko nga nalaman na siya pala yun.
He gave a good performance.
He did, yeah. So he was pretty much fed up with Batman and joined the MCU.
He lived long enough to become a villain, diba?
Yeah, I was about to say
exactly.
that.
Yun lang.
Okay.
That's one of my initial thoughts. Yun lang.
Okay. Kuya Bols, how about you?
Okay. Sige.
Okay.
Siguro ako na lang yung magtatagalog dito sa sa grupo
Yeah,
na
go
to.
ahead.
No?
Sorry naman, man.
Sige pa.
Sorry.
Medyo naiba ata ako, pero sige.
It's fine.
Bago ko simulan,
Sige lang pare.
gusto ko lang ilatag to, no? Among all the MCU character, Thor is my bias. Not Iron Man, not Captain America. Okay?
Nice
Just
word
laying out
choice.
there. Just laying it out there. Okay? And then lastly, I have no notes, so I'll play this by memory.
Ako din.
The
Walang-
moment na nag-play yung Marvel na intro, lahat tayo
Yung
kinilig.
electric.
Lahat.
Ah.
Yeah. There was this something, laging nahuhuli ni Taika Waititi yung tamang pagpili ng kanta or ng sound effects towards some scenes. That's
Yep.
one point kay Taika. Hindi ko pwedeng ialisin yun sa kanya. We all saw that in Thor Ragnarok.
Mhm.
Pero kung tatanungin niyo ako kung kamusta yung movie experience ko, it was good, but it was not that great. So, medyo mabigat, no? Pero that's it for me kasi nasanay tayo ng sobrang ganda ng mga previous phase. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then, I don't know kung tumatanda na lang tayo or we saw a lot of great movie coming from this franchise para masabing hindi ganun kalakas yung sapak ng Love and Thunder. Being a Thor fan. So, on overall, yes, it has its great aspects in the movie. Pero may mga kulang akong nakita na I think pwede naman nating i-deep dive mamaya.
Definitely.
So, ang initial thought ko sa movie, it was good, but it was not that great. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I
think
echo the sentiments of
they're,
everyone. Siguro,
I
Jay,
think they're
sorry.
covering it with, I think they're covering up everything that their holes with the screaming goats.
Ayan, si Das pumasok dito. So,
Hi, Das. Dasman.
Dasman, thanks for
Bonjo.
being here, pre. Siguro Das, sabihin ko lang sa'yo, yung pinag-usapan natin regarding Netflix Resident Evil, everything went through. So,
Dude, we called it like last year.
even kami rin ni Jay last year,
Mm.
everything happened as how we predicted. And sad. Pero maybe next time pag-usapan natin. Siguro for me, yung initial thoughts ko dito, I was expecting this to be worse than Multiverse of Madness. Just because yung experience ng movie na yun. And hindi ko paborito si Thor. Well, top 3, oo. Pero if you're going to ask me kung main ko, it's either Captain America or Iron Man.
Oh,
Dito
same.
sa ano na to, sa universe na to.
Same.
So,
Mm.
what I love about Thor kasi is ang ganda ng Thor 1.
Yeah.
You
Top
could
tier.
point out
Top tier
yung
na,
mga
no?
flaws ng if you could point out yung flaws ng writing nun, that's fine with me. I have no gripes kasi maganda yung pagkasulat niya. Dark World wasn't that good. Pero if you're going to compare this movie sa Dark World, nag-uunahan silang dalawa. For me, nag-uunahan silang dalawa kung sino mas maganda. Initial thoughts on this one, I had a better experience watching this rather than Doctor Strange. But that doesn't mean maganda yung movie. It just meant na this time around, wala akong ina-expect na kahit ano. I wanted to see Natalie Portman back again, but not in this type of writing. Well, eventually, alam naman natin, Jay, kung saan mapupunta si Jane Foster. But
Yep.
I would have done out with several characters. I would have taken out a lot of characters in this movie because they didn't serve any purpose kundi maging comedic relief. And that's a problem na meron ako kay Taika. All of his jokes already expired sa Ragnarok, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
Maxine and I were talking about this kanina offline. Yung pinanooran ko, there's no one laughing. And medyo madami yung tao. That should say something about sa ginagawa niya. Jojo
Yeah.
Rabbit, if you guys have
Wala
watched
kang
Jojo
tumatawa eh.
Rabbit,
You've seen Jojo Rabbit.
if you've seen Jojo Rabbit, that could be yung peak ni Taika Waititi. Kaya nakuha siya sa Ragnarok project. But then again, you can't treat everything as a comedy character. Doon ako napikon. Dahil katulad ng sinabi ni Kuya Bols nung podcast nyo, Jay, ang ganda ng parts sa Thor 1 eh. Ang ganda ng scripting sa Thor 1 kung paano siya nag-uusap ng tatay niya ni Odin. Ang ganda ng part na yun. It's one of the best.
But you are
nasulat
not
nila.
king yet, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, now you're an old man and a fool.
Oh.
Yes, I was
Yeah,
a
that's
fool.
good. So,
I think you were
yun yung sa akin. Yun yung initial thoughts ko. Did I enjoy it? No. Did I watch it for what it is? Yes. Siguro yung ibibigay ko na ng consolation sa movie nito, it didn't destroy yung continuity as much as it Multiverse of Madness did. But it destroyed a lot more than that. So, yun sa akin. Let's go
can I
ahead and
add,
start the
actually?
discussion. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Can I add something? Because a while ago you said like something about how this one versus Dark World, which one is nicer? And for me, actually, I think Kenneth Branagh's Thors deserve a little more credit because like a lot of people tend to say like, oh, Thor really picked up in the third, and like no, I really didn't. I enjoyed Ragnarok. I even enjoyed this. I think Kenneth Branagh did a good job at establishing who Thor is, especially at least from my perspective. He was a hero who not a lot would pay attention to before the MCU. Parang at that point, everyone was like, oh, Iron Man, oh, Captain America, and then when Thor came out, everyone was like, okay, newbie, who's this? So I think Kenneth Branagh did a really good job at establishing that. Pero between this one and Dark World, parang I would go for this one because in Dark World, if you guys remember Malekith, I hardly felt his presence in the film, and I like the actor because I saw him in Doctor Who and I was excited to see him there, and I feel like he wasn't used enough. Though I have some similar like thoughts about Gore. At least we got to see Christian Bale performing and playing the part.
Agree
Christopher
with
Eccleston
Maxine
si di ba? Si Malekith. Tama ba? Yeah.
Malekith, yeah.
Another
Christopher Eccleston.
underwhelming, di ba? Another underwhelming villain. So, ayan. At least we draw the line on some things regarding Thor 2. I mean, overall, it's not a great film. Pero the more na nakikita mo yung mga ganitong klaseng movies, the more na na-reassess mo that, yeah, kahit pa paano, Kenneth Branagh still try to do justice sa characters as much as he could. But let's go ahead and discuss na yung not really our gripes, kundi our feedback regarding this movie. I don't want this to seem like a rant cast, like, kasi, sige, simulan natin, jumble natin muna ngayon. Jay, ikaw naman muna magsimula.
Okay.
Gaganon ka.
Okay.
Pilitin ko yung visuals dito, yung inaano mo dun sa, sa podcast. So, yeah, what's up? So, sorry, nalutang ako eh. So, where we go na
No, ano na. Yung mga thoughts mo na dito sa movie na to na sabihin natin, what is your analysis na hindi mo nagustuhan or anything else you need to say? Let's start with that.
Na-point out mo yung yung ang tawag dito, yung unnecessary humor na rin din. Mainly, and as much as I love and hate it as well, yung mga goats din, alam mo din, they brought back, let's say, 2008, yung mga screaming goats. We all had our laughs and giggles about that. Pero, come on,
Jay,
2008
sorry,
call, they want the
I'll
goats
just interrupt you just to say this for other panelists. If you guys are, you guys at this point are free to say whatever you want. Huwag na natin gawin yung tipong, alam mo yun, yung isa-isa tayo. Gawin na natin para medyo engaging. So, Jay,
sure.
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead. Ay, di. Yun na ba din?
Go ahead.
Okay, discuss lang pala. Anyway, so, ayun nga. Kasi napansin ko lang din dito sa MCU din, they love to put in a lot of cameos or parang
a lot of kids,
a lot of slight humor na lang din na alam mo na that will just get the chuckle. And just parang to redirect your attention to something. Oy, that's funny. Oy, that's someone else that I recognize in the comic. Yun, or something like that. Yun ang parang medyo na hindi ko nagustuhan sa movie na to because there's a lot of that, especially dun ng pagdating dun sa may yung nag-uusap na sila ni Zeus. So now yeah, because I don't know if you guys picked up on a lot of those guys dun sa loob ng
yes.
Ano tawag doon yung dun sa
the cocoon thing.
yung conference na yan or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Omnipotent City.
Omnipotent City. Yan. Thank you. So, ayun. Parang like what you said, I don't know if I'm just getting old already or the jokes are really getting old now. Yung ganon. Especially pagdating din sa umpisa pa lang, of course. Ang ganda ng nila. Ang ganda ng presentation. They made Thor look like I don't know, the ignorant funny guy na meron na malakas. Tapos
you flick too hard, damn it.
Oh, you flick too hard. Tapos sino ba yung ginagaya ng video game reference dun sa King of Fighters? I forgot yung pagdating sa yun ang
Meron
so
there,
meron yung nakakap na din, especially this
Terry
one
Bogard?
yung
Terry Bogard.
Oh, yun. Terry Bogard. Yun nilagay na
Bogard, yeah.
So, I think now, kaya medyo nag-work siya sa siguro mga kids, mga mas bata pa sa atin. Kasi they put in a lot of references just to make their the movie in a good mood ba? Ganun. Yeah. I don't know, too much pop culture references rather than pag focus sila dun sa comics naman. The comics are pretty serious. Yung especially pagdating sa all the events leading to their version of Endgame na yung nga na Thanos is only there to
Saga. Yep.
Yeah, Infinity Saga. Lalo na yung Infinity War. Although I must say din maganda rin yung Infinity War kasi yun talaga nagustuhan ko sa lahat ng movies. Yeah. They could have ended with that and I could have been happy. Pero they fucked a lot of things. They fucked a lot of things sa Endgame. Sorry, can I say the word fuck? So say lang.
I mean, sorry kay Maxine, but
Captain
Time with
America
you.
will come out. Captain America
Yeah.
comes out and says
Language.
Language. sorry.
Siguro I have a question here. Di ba,
Language.
all three of you are highlighting that this should have been like a kids movie, but there's something
Mm.
sa dun sa Omnipotent City na dialogues niya that wasn't kid friendly.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
sorry.
you are not going
Correction,
to be
omnipotence, not omnipotent.
omnipotent. Well,
Omnipotent.
ayun na yun,
Omnipotence.
Omnipotent City. So,
City. Yeah.
well, you are not invited to the next orgy. That doesn't sound like kid friendly,
No, I was
di ba?
actually surprised because, like, everyone knows that right now Marvel is under Disney. I was surprised
Mm.
that that was allowed because, like, I know naman that Marvel, like, they're not exactly like kid audience, but to be associated with
Yeah.
Disney, it just came as a surprise to me that was approved.
Oh,
To add that as well dun sa may the Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Captain
Winter
America,
Soldier.
Winter
Yung
Soldier.
series, there's actual blood.
Falcon.
And death as well.
Oh
Kaya,
yeah.
diba? So, it's included in Disney. So, parang dun na, nag-include na. Especially with the way na tinamaan niya, nag-retaliate si Thor when he killed Zeus with nung penetrate niya with Thunderbolt as well. There was blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
Bols.
those I understand. It was the language, more of the language that and words used that I was surprised with. Because
Yeah.
I think like it's hard to battle it out without including blood, especially in a
Yes.
superhero film.
Sabagay. Good point. Good point.
Kuya
Yeah.
Boss, ikaw.
And kung usapang kids show, what happened to Multiverse of Madness? There was a lot of
my God.
gore and
nga.
violence on that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because
There was.
that's Sam Raimi's signature. So, hindi ko alam kung saan yung tingin line na nagse-separate Marvel is for kids or Marvel is for the adults or the continuity. I don't know. Hindi ko alam. Magpigibang ako dun sa mga sinabi ni Jay. I'll consider this as the good points of the movie. Yung mga kambeng dun sa movie, even though may mga serious parts dun sa movie, the moment, spoiler alert na to guys, no, I hope you don't mind. Yung bumalik sila after they fought Gore, and then yung kambing gumulong-gulong na maingay. Natawa pa rin ako. You were not supposed to laugh on that part kasi si Jane nangihina na, si Thor natalo. Tapos yung kambing sumigaw.
Oh,
Yung
because
problema, di ba?
out of nowhere.
That becomes a problem then kasi it's like they never thought things through. Na tipong you're overutilizing yung comedy. Na parang everything feels
yun na yun.
disjointed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
May
yun.
mga banat na nag-work pero may mga banat na
Wala sa
predictable.
hulog.
Yeah,
Wala
I
din sa
agree.
hulog ng mga
I
iba.
agree.
Ito yung nangyari kasi no. Palagay ko kasi nakita na natin to before with Thor's Ragnarok. And that's what makes it special for me. The Thor's Ragnarok. I love it. I think that's my favorite movie. And then second, yung Thor 1. Among all Thor's movie. It's because of the comedic side
Agree.
that went exactly how it should be.
Yes.
Yep.
Pasok lahat ng banat, bago, and at the same time, akma siya sa kung ano si Thor that time.
Yeah.
Ba't ko nasabi
Yeah.
yon? Kasi this time, we are facing the Thor who's gone depression through Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
The weight of the world when Thanos snaps, when Thanos won in Infinity War, dala niya yun eh. Diba?
Yes,
That's
yes.
a huge character growth on Thor's Infinity War and Endgame version.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that movie, jumping from Love and Thunder, parang binalik mo siya sa Ragnarok. That doesn't make any sense, at least for me. Na
No pun intended, may tumunog na thunder din.
Yeah.
Same, that actually why I muted. We have a special guest today.
Yes.
Ayun,
I think
nagagalit siya sa natin, comments natin. But,
yeah, the God of Thunder agrees with me on that point of hindi ko alam, parang na-nerf yung character growth niya in the sense na max out na siya eh. Max out na siya on Endgame and he was supposed to be a better man than he was, pero binalik somehow dun sa pagiging childlike Thor niya from before.
Pina-
Kasi
Mm.
he lost Odin, he lost Loki, he lost a lot of people, he lost Nat, he
All his
lost
friends, except
yes.
Sif.
This is
You won't
this part is going to be evident tomorrow when we discuss Wanda. So sige, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Sige.
Can't
Go
wait
ahead,
to see
sorry,
the
Kuya Bols.
connection. I love
yeah,
Thor.
hindi mo expect na magiging ganito pa yung ano niya yung path niya. And
Teka lang, may dumating. Sige, tuloy mo lang.
Taika's, let's say, aggressive part on wanting to make this funny did not work this time.
Sobra-sobra eh.
Yeah.
Kasi they
Yeah.
threw everything on the wall and see what would stick.
Yes,
And
I see that.
yung mga kambing lang yung na dumikit dun actually.
Okay, because those goats were funny. But I want to add also, because I have the same Thor movie ranking. Ragnarok was my favorite. And one reason
Yeah.
why it was my
Yeah.
favorite was because you know how Kenneth Branagh's films, they did establish Thor as a character that was great. But for me, what was missing was that identity. Like, what set him apart from the different heroes, apart from his hammer, apart from being from a different planet. And because of that, I really liked what Taika did with Thor. Na, yes, he's someone who's from space, he's not from the Earth, and that's why his
Yeah, he
movie
was a
would be that
god.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then,
Mm.
oh, thank you for the comment, Thor. And then, like there, they made him fun. Like they made him funny. I think Chris Hemsworth had a lot more creative freedom to be Chris Hemsworth. Even I really love how Chris Hemsworth does comedy,
Yeah,
and I
I
really
agree.
enjoyed seeing that
Yeah.
there. Right? They let
Mm.
Thor be a little less stiff, and I really, really liked seeing that and his relationships with the others. Now, when Endgame came around, one thing that I guess they wanted to be comic accurate. I'm not too familiar with the comics, but what I liked about Ragnarok was that Thor didn't need his weapon. Remember, are you the god of hammers or the god of thunder? I
Yeah.
really like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah,
Thor doesn't need a
yeah.
weapon. The power is
What are
in
you, the
him.
god
And
of
then,
again?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess they still had to include the weapon. Like, I forgot Stormbreaker. I guess they still had to include Stormbreaker because, like, it was kind of funny that Stormbreaker would get jealous. But I kind of felt that revert also in Thor's powers. Like, we already established that he's the god of thunder. He can do whatever he wants with or without a weapon. How come here, all of a sudden, like, he kind of took a step back in that department? Like,
Yun nga
Thor,
eh.
we know, right? We know you're stronger than this. So, what happened there?
I
So,
have to add on that
yeah.
as well.
He
Ano,
became
Mm.
Sparkles again.
I mean, it's funny that Stormbreaker is being jealous about
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my.
with Mjolnir. But if you overuse it every single time, every freaking time, yeah, it becomes just corny. Yeah, this really too
I think
corny already.
I think sinabi ko sa'yo, Jay, before, na regardless kung ano isipin natin pagdating kay Taika. I mean, you guys love him. I don't. Particularly this movie, I don't like him, this movie, because he is scored. And ito yung napansin ko. I talked with Maxine earlier regarding this one. Each and every time na involved sa Taika sa kanyang movie,
Okay.
what happens is everything is taking a
Someone's mad.
backseat. Oo nga, may committed. But everything's taking a backseat, including the writing of the characters. And when it comes to Thor, siguro ganito yung iniisip ko. You have this version of Thor sa Love and Thunder na parang basically wala siyang pakialam. First
Mhm.
15-20 minutes, pinapakita niya na wala siyang pake. It's very funny na isipin na ganun. When it comes to Ragnarok naman, very comedic kahit paano hindi nasira. Endgame, semi-serious, pero nakikita na natin medyo denigrated din yung character niya when it comes to Fat Thor. And you also have the Infinity War Thor, which for me is the best version ng Thor na linabas nila.
Top tier.
So,
Top tier Thor
it's
na yan, eh.
it's very evident kung ano dapat sinundan nila. It could have been a better Thor kung sinundan nila yung sa Infinity
Ang
War.
ganda ng Thor sa sa Infinity War talaga.
Yes.
Eh. Yung
Mhm.
pinakita
Kasi
mo
that's
rin ng
the-
Will that he really
that's
is
about
determined to
quintessential.
save the entire universe. Kaya
Oo.
na nga, kahit
Now
nabasag
you
na si
have-
Mjolnir, you have to bring
Now
in
you have
Stormbreaker.
comedy Thor, which really pissed me off. Kasi when you compare it to Infinity War and also even Thor 1, na parang he's adapting to everything and he is not really messing around, especially when lives are at stake. For example na lang, yung unang encounter nila, 'di ba? Yan, no, pinapakita sa ano ngayon, 'di ba, yung part na yan, you should have been serious. People are dying. Sinabi na nga ni ano sa'yo ni Star-Lord sa'yo, people are dying down there. Anong ginawa niya? Parang nagko-comedic lines pa siya, which is not even accurate sa ano niya, sa character niya. And you know na maraming nawala sa'yo. Yung the entire Asgard people died dun sa ano na yun, sa ship sa ano, 'di ba? Sa Infinity War, and you are going to act this way, or half, diba? Parang you are going to act this way, na parang okay lang sa'yo. Not to mention yung damage na ginawa niya dun sa building, knowing na dapat benevolent ano nila, part nila, parang wala siyang pakialam talaga. And that pissed me off in the first part, but there's something that pissed me off a lot more in the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Here it is.
And if you're, ladies and gentlemen, get ready because of stupidity is going to come up next. So you guys remember yung nangyari sa ano, dial it up to Multiverse of Madness. Remember the part na sinabi ni Mr. Fantastic kay Wanda kung sino si Black Bolt. There's a writing part dito sa first 10 minutes ito na almost similar, if I could say, na halos ganun din. So we have Gore, namatay yung anak niya. Nagdadasal sila doon sa Diyos na tulungan sila. No help came. Yep, no help came. Pero, isn't it very convenient na after ilang lakad niya, andun pala yung Oasis? And then, he gets to meet the God na nagdadasal siya. It's parang nagreklamo siya, I've been praying for your grace and also for your sustenance in order for you to spare me and my child because we're dying out in the desert. Basically, sabi niya just sa kanya, it doesn't matter. I don't give a damn. Because I could replace you. There are a lot more followers here. And also, we are celebrating. We are celebrating because...
I'll cut you on that. This is where Christian Bale becomes atheist Bale.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you said that.
I was waiting for someone to actually say that. But, yun, diba? Parang, now you renounce your God, and then bagong pa niya renounce, parang sinabi niya, we just defeated a god killer over there, and we have the Necro Sword also over there. So what could go wrong na sinabi ko kay Gore yun? And after that, i-insult ko si Gore all the way. Yeah. So, nangyari na yung nangyari. And for me, how stupid na parang you're going to give away ko ng ginawa mo. Knowing na you're going to aggregate na i-insultuhin mo yung kaisa-isa na natitirang supporter mo. Kaisa-isang tao na lang or being na nagdadasal sa'yo. Aminado ka naman Sinabi ko ng Sun God yun na wala nang ano.
The Necro Sword feeds on your hatred on the gods. So kaya siya napili ng Necro Sword.
Not only that, di ba parang,
they should know that.
Di ba, why are you saying to someone na insultuhin mo na gano'n, na nandun yung sword na pumatay sa mga gods na, mas delikado pa yun. Di ba? So that's a whole writing mistake na parang sa akin, again, you are going to subject us with this kind of writing again? Hindi ba kayo natuto dun sa sa ginawa dun sa previous movie nyo? So, syempre sa ibang tao, parang lang yan. Rant lang yan. Pero for me, it meant a lot kasi you guys don't give any credence sa character ni Gore. Matalino si Gore. Jay, matalino si Gore, di ba?
He's calculating. He's really calculating. Yeah.
So, yun nga, what could possibly go wrong moment doon? So, again, nasaksak yung yun yung nakakatawa, di ba? Nasaksak yung Sun God and sabi, you're chosen by the sword. Well, obvious kasi sinabi mo And then,
nilaglag mo yung sarili mo. You played
Nilaglag mo
yourself.
yung sarili mo Di ba? So, doon pa lang, ako, going downhill na ako. Noon, okay. So, if this going to be the style, parang sinira nyo yung first 5 minutes. Di ba? Sinira mo yung first 5 minutes na meron pinigay niyo sobrang gandang scene with Gore and his daughter. Anyway, that's first part ng aking negative dito sa movie na to. Yeah, so, kayo, I mean, anything else you would like to say na hindi nyo nagustuhan or nagustuhan ninyo? It's an open discussion naman na moving forward.
Actually,
Okay,
since we're in Gore's sorry, this will be quick. Since we're in Gore's
go.
establishing part of the movie, I felt like I still wanted to see a little bit more. Like at least a little bit of what happened after he was chosen by the sword. Because I felt like with the previous villain, like with Hela, with in the first Thor movie, like even if it was just a narration, montage, like a quick backgrounder of who the character is, it kind of gave a little more than the scene that was given. Because like
Mm.
yeah, the first part was really nice. But then after that, like he's Gore the God Butcher, but in the entirety of the movie, we just see him butcher one god and then the aftermath of another. And because he's Christian Bale, I know that he could have carried he carried the character well, and I know that he could have done more if you gave him more. Like gave him more scenes butchering the different gods, give him more background, how was life like before the drought, things like that.
Mm.
I would have wanted to
Mhm,
see that.
mhm.
Like, sino pinatay niya on screen na God? Wala akong maalala.
The first
The
one lang,
first
and then
guy,
like
No, I
yeah,
mean besides
remember
that. Kasi 'di ba, ano yung
none,
besides nun?
none,
Wala na, 'di ba? So,
wala
none.
na.
we're just
Yeah.
implied and he also killed one of
The
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 kindest
big
gods
one.
na ano, 'di ba?
Yeah,
Ang
where they
pangalan nun,
found
Jay?
Sif. I forgot.
Don't get me started with Sif.
Sorry.
That's
Ano?
another character na talagang dito binastos nila. For me, binastos nila si Sif dito. Anything else? Gorda God Butcher? Meron pa ba?
Well, kung may singit pa kayo dyan, I think
Sige,
most
sige
likely
na. Just
pag-uusapan din
talk.
natin yung ano eh. Hindi,
The ending.
saka na natin pag-usapan ng ending.
Yeah.
I see the dismay on James' face.
No. Titignan ko lang yung ano.
He just left.
He just left.
He just clocked
By-
out.
No. May ano lang ako. May 10 text ako.
Okay. Pero might as well do that face as well again when you're going to talk about the ending.
Yeah, mamaya.
Siguro, guys, italon ko to, no? Total, nasimulan natin
Okay, go.
sa
Mhm.
start ng movie. Ito yung isang butas na talagang hindi ko alam kung ba't nila ginawa, no? The way how they retcon the Guardians of the Galaxy. In Endgame, it was supposed to be Thor with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Na
Yes.
dapat meron silang gagawin together. But in this movie, definitely what? Around 5 minutes of airtime, 10 minutes of battle airtime, and then iniwan na sila ni Star-Lord. So, that, I think, the endgame scene was retcon. Na talagang sumama siya sa Guardians of the Galaxy. Parang walang naging sense yung pagsama niya sa Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you guys at least have a thought on that or agree with me on that part na wala talagang important movie time yung Guardians of the Galaxy? Do you guys agree on that part?
I expected more from them. Like even if they weren't going to be the mains or even if they were going to be there for a little bit, I thought that they would have at least come back in the end or helped Thor a little bit more
Yeah.
because I felt like what was established in Endgame is they'd be a team even if they're not always
Yes.
together, right? Somehow he could call them for help. And I was just surprised that they weren't there, especially because in the trailer, they made it appear like the Guardians would be there for a lot of the
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
So I was surprised with
Just
that
like a
also.
one call away or
Yeah,
one summon
yeah.
away, right?
Yeah,
Pero
exactly.
wala eh.
I have a
Diba, at the end
question
of the
pala.
movie, no Guardians of the Galaxy has been
Yeah.
seen or unless Drax is invisible again.
I have a question for you guys. So, since sa MCU, walang enchantment na ginawa dito sa Stormbreaker. And we all know, since na-establish naman din dito sa Infinity War pa naman, the Stormbreaker is basically a god-killing weapon as well.
Mhm.
What is more powerful, the Necrosword or Stormbreaker?
Oh my God. Oo.
That's valid. I didn't see that.
You know parang ano, 'di ba? They keep on one-upping yung mga weapons na meron dito.
Kasi
when
add
it
ko
comes
lang
to
din, doon sa MCU kasi wala talagang enchantment or incantation na ginawa na binulong doon sa Stormbreaker. So basically, it's only a matter of if you are a being powerful enough to wield it. So,
Yeah.
yung hawak-hawak na ni Gore yung yung Necrosword na yung isa, marami nagtaka kung why he's also able to wield both the Stormbreaker and
Mm.
the Necrosword
Mjolnir.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also
Kahit na
Mjolnir.
nanghihina na yung
Yeah,
katawan
yeah.
niya, no?
Oo,
Yeah.
marami nang tataka na rin. Kahit nanghihina na yung katawan niya, he's able to hold it at ease. So, on
Oh my
MCU's logic, which is more powerful, the Stormbreaker or the Necrosword?
It's
I
Taika
think
Waititi.
Something to
in
think.
in,
It's
in,
something to
in
think, di ba?
paper, in
Something to
paper,
think about.
I would say na mas malakas pa rin dapat ang Stormbreaker. But when it comes to usage kasi, the Necrosword has the edge just because of whoever wields that sword, kung sobrang galit din siya sa mga gods, it
It's been
amplifies
on longer.
everything else.
Yeah.
So you could compare yung Necrosword actually with Mjolnir in this aspect. And it's
Si
very
Mjolnir lang
funny
kasi
na
may
Galing.
enchantment lang eh. May enchantment lang si Mjolnir eh. That anyone can
no,
hold
but
it.
pero
Yun na.
to be
Team worthy.
honest, diba, was Jane Foster in this movie worthy? I don't think she was. Yung ugali niya dito eh.
Wala.
Yung
The
ugali
comic
ni Jane dito
answer,
eh.
I think you already know the comic book answer to
Yes.
that. Yeah, okay.
Mm.
But the
Pero yung
MCU answer to that.
This is very fun. I mean, thanks for hanging out, Isa from ang pangalan ng podcast ni Isa? It's a play.
Stay
Equip
Equip.
pala, Equip. Sorry, hindi mo nakalimutan ko na Equip. Thanks for
Hello.
being here. Hopefully, you could join us tomorrow para all-women panel except for myself. And 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. If there's someone here who knows talaga 100% when it comes to comics, this guy, he knows a lot about this. I'll have him next time to discuss comics. Di ba parang iba yung ugali ni Jane dito eh. It's far different.
Iba.
She's very bitchy in this movie. And if you're going
Very
to say,
snarky.
yeah,
Very
if you're going to
cringy.
say, if you're going to say that whoever wills, parang may sinabi si Odin before, di ba? May qualifications when it comes to owning. I understand na may sinabi rin si Thor that look after. But does looking after mean you also acquire the power of Mjolnir or Thor? It doesn't equal eh, kung tutuusin eh. Well, in comics, Jay, iba eh, di ba?
Yeah. I think a quick
Sige
search.
guys,
Ito yung
go
exact
ahead
words
and
dito.
explain what happened.
Yeah,
Yan,
can you
Jay.
explain for us
Jay.
non-comic book readers?
Yeah. And for the
You may-
listeners.
Sige lang,
Yes.
go JM.
No,
I'll
mas
see
ano,
where
mas
na.
naalala
Sige.
mo to eh. Mas
Sige lang,
naalala
go.
mo yung ano eh. Ikaw,
Sige
mas
lang,
alam
go
mo
lang.
eh.
Tara, saan ba tayo ulit dun? Wait lang.
No, how did Jane Foster acquire the power of Mjolnir dun sa comics?
Teka lang kasi I need to refresh.
Hindi ko na rin na-refresh yung part na to eh. Pero what happened is, comic accurate siya. Jane Foster was suffering from cancer, even in the comics.
Oo.
Yun yung origin eh. Yeah.
So, I think the main part dito sa movie na she was looking for answers is very funny that a Norwegian ba or anong pangalan nun? A Viking-ish book na lalabas sa harapan mo with all of the answers in front of the Norse mythology book. Inside your inside your research facility or room, nandun na lang. Maybe I could give a pass na iniisip niya si Thor back then. But it's funny, di ba, parang nag-highlight doon kung ano yung kailangan mong gawin and then nag-highlight yung great health.
Parang sa game.
Great health. In great health, it doesn't really mean nagagaling ka. It only means na meron kang stamina, you also have powers, you have great health. That was basically it. Pero Jay, ikaw, anong niya? I'd like to pull
Sa
up some
comic?
information ba yan?
Sa
comic
comics?
niya.
Well, ito, ko na lang din, na-search ko na rin and medyo nagbumabalik-balik din naman. So, I'm just going to read it right here. So, in the life of Jane Foster, how did Jane become the new Thor? As shown in the flashback in Mighty Thor dito, Jane was telepathically called by Mjolnir to the moon and she picked up the magical hammer. OG Thor would go by this name, Odin's son, as a result. Mjolnir imbued her power with great power. However, there was a catch, which is yun nga, yung sumusunod din sa movie.
Yes.
Yung lumalala, it's draining her life force into the
Yes.
each time that she's using the hammer whenever she becomes Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero yung
So yun lang.
ugali niya sa comics, it's not this Jane Foster na alam
Malayo.
natin.
It's not just Jane
It's
Foster
not
that we
this.
know.
Diba?
Iba
I
eh.
think even from the previous movies, it was a very different Jane Foster than we were
I think
acquainted with.
one is a bit closer to what Jane Foster was. Kaya nga lagi kong ina-highlight yung one.
Mm.
Dahil kahit papaano mas comic accurate siya. Not entirely, pero at least Kenneth Branagh had the respect for the source material. Kaya when I watched Ragnarok, as much as people would like to praise it dahil maganda yung pagkasulat ish, yung comedy niya, aspect niya for me, I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed the
Eto,
laughs na meron. Pero yung entirety,
singit
kasi
ko lang
yun nga
din.
eh.
Eto,
Sige.
na gano'n na. Right here sa original ng ano, while Thor was away fighting Gore, the god butcher, Jane was diagnosed with breast cancer. She later accepted Thor's invitation to represent Midgard, Earth, in the Congress of the Worlds on Asgard while she underwent therapy, but refused magical treatments. So, yung ano talaga na, yung like in the movie na naninig kasi, yun ang kaya nga nasabi ko rin na parang medyo ginaya na rin nila sa comics is because ayun nga, she wanted to get rid of her cancer and sought all sorts of treatment and thought that maybe Asgardian magic would
It's not going to happen.
would help her with that. But in the comic book version, she actually refused those treatments yung pagdating sa magical na And during a battle against Nick Fury, Thor lost the ability to wield his hammer Mjolnir. The hammer remained unattended on the moon. So the moon dapat yun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. From where he telepathically
Not
saw
Norway.
Jaina. Yeah. Not Norway. The hammer remained unattended on the moon from where it telepathically sought Jane out. Jane eventually gave in to the hammer's call and requested Heimdall to take her to the hammer's location on the moon. Once there, Jane picked up the Mjolnir, gaining Thor's powers and transforming and improving her physique. Since she watched Thor use the hammer, Jane slowly learned how to use the Mjolnir itself.
So
So
basically, the comic
useless call.
accurate Jane Foster is worthy. The MCU
Yes,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yes.
Worthy na
was
talaga siya.
MCU, no. MCU, she
just
is
a
not worthy.
responsibility of Mjolnir because Thor said so. Parang ganon.
Kasi
Like,
that
take care of
makes sense.
her.
di ba naglagay na nga siya ng si Odin
Incantation.
ng incantation na whoever deems to be worthy
Shall
and
possess
will
possess the power of
Yeah.
Thor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yun.
Hmm.
So it's
Sig-
not just of people who are worthy to looking for the Mjolnir itself, but rather Mjolnir will call out for other possible candidates. Hence,
Pero guys,
maraming nakakapag-wield ng Mjolnir in the
Mhm,
comics.
to challenge your thought on
okay.
this one, at least on the MCU part,
Okay.
nung time na namatay si Odin, there was this notion that the seal that whoever holds this hammer shall possess the power of Thor has also
Yes.
been broken.
Mm.
There's this notion
Yes.
that's why Hela could wield the Mjolnir the moment Odin faded away. So what are your thoughts on
Oh,
that,
okay.
guys?
Okay.
So,
No,
I think
I
that's
don't.
just a fan theory.
It's not that easy. Kasi when
Yeah.
Odin incantates something, that's magic based, regardless kung patay na siya or buhay na siya. Especially knowing Mjolnir, knowing the stakes na meron, whoever wields that weapon could possibly dominate the universe na meron sila. It's hard for me to understand na mamamatay yung previous holder, which is si tawag dito, si Odin. And then siya
Yeah.
naglagay ng rules na yun na it will be bent easily dahil mamamatay lang siya. I would agree kapag si Thor yung namatay and then hindi niya nasabihan yung Mjolnir na okay, this is the same aspect na kailangan mong bantayan, which he did with Jane. And what really breaks the logic na meron dito sa weapon na to, you could actually wield Mjolnir. So it's been sitting in New Asgard for that time. How convenient sana kung ginamit mo sa Infinity War to. Kasi nakita natin na hinahawakan niya yung weapon. Dito, it's like nothing. So
Yeah.
he's still worthy, and why didn't it show up in Infinity War? But then again, balik tayo din sa movie na to. So just to answer that, ang hirap i-assume for me na pag namatay si Odin,
Odin.
nawala na rin yung spell. it's really hard for me to knowing as guardian yung qualifications na meron sa'yo to hold a very powerful weapon. Ang hirap niyang i-assume for me. I don't know about you guys. Ikaw, Maxine.
Actually, I just want to bring back something from Ragnarok regarding my opinions about like that. Like Odin died and then like all of a sudden that spell was different. Parang if you stick to the movie universe, it could make sense. But I don't know if that was the intention talaga. But going back to Ragnarok, and something we talked about earlier was that it was established that Thor didn't exactly need a weapon to show that he was powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that was broken by Infinity War actually when they had Stormbreaker. Because like
Stormbreaker.
my expectations going into Infinity War was that Thor would be the immigrant song coming into Asgard Thor. Like that's really
Yeah.
what I was expecting from Infinity War. But Stormbreaker there, and I know that a lot of fans also had a few issues with this. All of a sudden that was undone. So I also thought at the time na why couldn't it be Mjolnir instead if he was going to go back to a weapon anyway? Like that's where the continuity kind of just doesn't add up for me. Pero I can also see why it would just come out here because there was Stormbreaker already. So movie production wise it would have gotten a little too confusing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the writing. It's really in the writing. Like I feel
Mhm.
like Thor's weapons should have been a longer conversation starting after Ragnarok. Because I also wish that they kept the Thor not needing a weapon Thor. That was like
Yeah.
my favorite Thor version.
Subukan
Nakuha
kita
nila
ulit
yung
sagutin,
Ito rin.
Maxine,
Yeah?
about the weapon, no?
Mm.
Kasi, yeah, I agree with those parts about the character development of Thor being the god of thunder without the weapon or the god of hammers. But then again, here comes Thanos. Thanos is a
True.
multiversal threat. So I think
Uh,
Stormbreaker really is
Okay.
much
That's
needed
fair.
to defeat at least the Mad Titan with an
Okay.
Infinity
That's fair.
Stones. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Dagdag ko lang
Alright.
din pala
Alright.
dito.
That's fair.
Napansin na rin din ba, no? It's another movie again that Thor requires something again, like another weapon to defeat something that's more powerful than him.
no,
That,
yun yung
it's
sinasabi ko
another one
kanina.
na naman. It's another one again.
Here's the thing na sinasabi ko na you need to one up everything which na hindi naman ganon ng phase 1 and also phase 2.
yeah.
It's like you keep on raising the stakes. Not to mention in last movie nandun yung Vishanti. And now you have Eternity which totally butchered yung character ni Eternity dito sa movie na to. So yung mismong paggamit nila kay Stormbreaker dito, it really shocked me na hindi siya 100% on par sa Necrosword. Parang lumalabas pa na sobrang lakas ng Necrosword for some reason.
Dagdag ko lang
And
din.
Sige,
You
go.
guys pick up as well that Thor used Thunderbolt to imbue all of the children into
Oh,
becoming
mamaya na
universe.
Mamaya na yan. You're jumping too much. Pero yeah, I agree. That's it. Kung gusto mo i-jump over there, I have to say something. Knowing that you have that power, and Maxine would say, and also this could be falling into writing problems. Knowing you have that power, that could have been easily been used in Infinity War.
Exactly.
Yes,
You have
yes,
one
exactly. I liked Infinity War, but that was something that was always at the back of my head. Like you show us this, as I said, the
Diba?
immigrant song Thor when he was coming in. Why wasn't
You-
that used when he was entering Wakanda?
Yeah, and also yung
Exactly. It would have ended
yung
right
parang-
there.
let me just imbue everyone with
Credits
the
roll.
power of Thor. Diba? Let me just imbue everyone with the power of Thor, even in a limited time. How cool would that be in a very world stakes na battle katulad ng Infinity
Universal
War?
threat. Yeah.
You could have ended that problem. And even when you have Mjolnir, you could have ended Thanos far earlier. You don't even need Stormbreaker kung tutuusin. Dahil mauunahan mo na si Thanos dun sa pag-collect. So, this is the thing na sinasabi ko na to people na you have to point out the bad in order for you to realize kung how shitty the writing is. Then again, it's entertainment. So, everyone is free to interpret kung ano gusto nilang interpret. Pero for me, that's why I'm kind of pissed off kasi Taika Waititi had a huge responsibility coming from Ragnarok when people at least that movie made sense. that movie made a lot of sense. Na parang I want it to be as fun as Guardians of the Galaxy. But dito parang pinilit mo na lang gawin eh. Parang you don't even have the love for for the character for you to denigrate everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
And siguro ipapasok ko na lang din dito yung hindi naman talaga kailangan na rin sa movie, which was the reenactment of
Oh,
the
yes! 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 Na-point out ni Kuya Bols yung sasabihin ko mamaya.
like it was funny the first time, pero the second
Why do the
time,
play? Why do
yeah,
the play? Sino kunento yun? Sino nag-survive doon? Si Thor lang, di ba? Ano kunento ni Thor
Yeah.
kay Matt Damon?
Yeah, it was though okay for me. I found that funny for the comedy of it because like the fact that Asgard kept the theatrics, like I don't know, I found that funny.
May
siguro
sasabi
ang
ka ba,
isang
Kuya
pwede
Bols?
kong ibato dito is bakit nila yon itutuloy kung wala na si Loki. Because
That's
Loki
what I
was
was
the
thinking
one,
of. Yeah. Hmm.
di ba, who initiated it all before. And then, who's directing this shit? Loki's
Matt
gone.
Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's directing shit. Kasi pansin mo, tinanong din niya eh, nung, di ba, there's a problem with the children. They already been kidnapped. Sinong pinakaunang taong lumapit sa kanya? Matt Damon. Sinabi ni Matt Damon yata kay Valkyrie na, oh, we need to make a play regarding this. For me, what? So, you guys would like to prioritize the play rather than something else? It wasn't needed. Another thing na gusto ko i-point out doon, why do you have to use the Infinity Cones and use that visual ng Infinity Gauntlet knowing that the person who wielded that gauntlet is the same person who massacred almost every single one of you? Parang ina-uplift nyo pa si Thanos. It could have made sense kung ginamit nyo yung kamay ni Iron Man. Hindi eh. Ginamit nyo yung Infinity Gauntlet na ginamit mainly ni Thanos in order for the snap to happen and also yung nangyari doon sa ship nyo. So I take a bit of offense pagdating doon na Taika, what are you doing? Why are you including this?
Considering kung gaano kalakas yung impact nung
Diba?
scene na yon with Thanos and to even make it as a joke, parang insulto nga yun sa mga Asgardians, no?
Insulto siya. Yeah. Not to mention na muntik na kayong mamatay lahat dahil kay Thanos.
Yeah.
You're going to use that in front of it.
And you're going to reenact it.
And another reenaction. What is Valkyrie doing in this movie, guys? To be honest, what is she doing in this movie? Kasi wala kayong maisip on top of your head, di ba?
All I can think of is continuity because she was in Ragnarok and then it was established that she would be the king of New Asgard. But otherwise, I actually thought they would give her a little more, especially like in the end. But then in the end, Thor went to battle by himself. But yeah, apart from the continuity,
I think she's appointed like the leader of Asgard as well.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Parang just,
The king.
Yeah, like what you
Fulfill
said,
that. Yeah.
king na ngayon nga. Continuity ng.
Kasi pinasa ni Thor yung rights niya for a king doon sa Endgame niya.
Yeah. You really have to show up for it to make sense.
Saan ba ginawa yun? Ending of Ragnarok? Tama ba?
No.
Endgame.
No, not yet.
Endgame. Okay, yeah.
Endgame.
Okay, Endgame. Tama.
Pero, in the context of this movie, what significance does she have?
Wala.
The movie could have done, diba? The movie could have done better kung wala siya, in my opinion. You could have limited it with two characters, si Jane Foster and also kay Thor. And it still could have gotten better. And yung allotment na meron na oras kay Valkyrie, binigay nyo na sana kay Gore.
Yeah.
Which is 4
Actually,
hours daw tong movie na to. 4 hours tong movie na to, kinat nila. I don't want to see the entire 4-hour thing, to be honest. I don't.
I would actually
Maxine?
want to see the 4-hour thing because like what I felt like was everyone could have used more time. Like you could even give Jane and Gore more time without exactly taking away time from anyone else. Because I really feel like they could have pushed it. Marvel movies are usually 2.5 hours long, and then this one hardly even made it to 2 hours. But because we're in Norway and we're here, I was going to say I wanted more Jane talaga. Because I don't know if you saw this, but on Twitter there was a video of Natalie filming the scene where she transforms after seeing Mjolnir for the first time. And I wondered why that didn't make it to the final cut of the movie because I felt like it happened so fast. Now she visits Norway, she sees Mjolnir, and then the next time we see her, she's already Thor. So I would have wanted to see a little more in between, like at least seeing the actual choosing. For me, I would have wanted to see that.
Pero may I forgot the video. Gusto ko sana i-pull up pero may ulan. May sinabi si Chris Hemsworth na sobrang suggest si Taika ng mga suggestions na hindi na nila gusto.
Oh, okay. I never saw that.
That break all of the illusions na meron na gusto ko makita yung 4-hour cut na yun. And also knowing that MCU is notorious for cutting films in order for it to look better. And knowing also na sinabi din publicly ni Taika na we had fun, we enjoyed it. What kind of enjoyment did you guys had in doing this movie? Was it all fun and games ba? Was that the reason kaya hindi nag-made yung cut ng mga na yun, yung mga scenes na yun kasi hindi siya ganun kaganda? Was it too much comedy, which na yun nga nakuha natin? Kasi isipin mo, if it was less comedy, baka siguro ginawa nila Feige na medyo less comedy. We've seen it in Multiverse of Madness. Kahit na sabihin mong hindi ko gusto yung movie na yun, at least that movie maintained a dark tone overall. Naging sila, faithful sa dark tone na yun na medyo slightly comedic. Pero dito kasi parang ang nangyari, kung ako yung editor nito movie na to, ang hirap na hindi include yung mga hindi funny parts ng movies na ginawa ni Taika. Maybe it was a lack of options na meron sila. Or maybe talagang reserve nila for people to clamor for a director's cut. It's either of the three.
It's a possibility because like we also have to take into account that these movies are also a business. They saw how well received the Snyder Cut was, so that's a possibility also. So I have a question for you guys because I always like Jane Foster's character. I'll keep this to the movies muna. I always like Jane Foster's character because she's
Including
smart,
the first one
respectable.
and also the second one.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
So yeah, I've always liked her character. And then when we got to this one, like when we got to the Comic-Con announcement, I was genuinely excited to see her wield the hammer and stuff. But then there were some things that she did, like when she ripped her own book. When I saw that, I was like, would Jane from Thor 1 actually do this?
No.
Because like I know how much she respects science, how much she respects, like, she's a very respectful person. She really respects what they do. And then she ripped her own book. It was like, okay, that was not what I expected. And like,
not.
as I keep saying, I really, really, really would have wanted to see more mighty Thor moments. But also, a friend asked me this. Do you think that they sacrificed her character in order to build Thor up? Like, do you think they took away from her character to make Thor look better? Like, what are your thoughts with this?
Jay, Kuya Bols.
It did not.
Yeah, that's what.
When it comes to losing someone, Thor has already maxed out.
Oh yes, for sure, for
So
sure.
Jane dying has no
Little to no
character
consequence.
growth
Oh.
towards Thor or towards Hemsworth. Kasi guys,
Parang,
ganito.
sige, go ahead.
Yung analogy. Hindi ko rin alam kung ba't ganito yung nangyari.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't say doctor.
Doc,
Sorry I didn't say doctor.
You call me the mighty Thor,
Whoops.
Maxine, or address
Yeah.
me as Dr. Jane Foster. The hell?
My bad.
Well, let's skip to the
Sorry, Kuya Bols.
3G part. Dun sa part ng where Gore's about to be successful. Nasa harap niya na si Eternity. Jane was about to die. And then I found out, kasi yung notion sa akin nun, nasira yung Mjolnir. Because he had to destroy the remnants of the Dark Sword. Necrosword, rather.
Necrosword.
Tapos nalaman ko sa ending,
Hindi pa
Ando
rin.
pa rin yung Mjolnir. Hindi pa rin siya nasira. So, ano yung character growth doon? Bakit hindi na lang siya hinawakan uli ni Jane doon sa part where Gore is talking to Eternity para nawala yung sakit niya at hindi siya namatay? Kasi I would understand, it would make me feel better if Mjolnir was totally destroyed the moment that she struck it with lightning to destroy the
The
Necrosword.
next one. Mm.
But then again, on the next scene, ando na naman yung Mjolnir, may drawing pa. Where is the growth?
Lagyan pa ng mukha.
We are in a constant time loop na parang Mjolnir, broken down, then again, then broken down, then again. Nawawala yung sense ng character growth ng kung sino man yung may hawak ng Mjolnir eh. And to answer your question, if Chris Hemsworth's Thor has any growth na nakuha dun sa pagkamatay ni Jane, wala. Wala. Kasi matagal lang out of the picture si Jane at the events of Infinity War and Endgame. Right?
Yes.
Binalik lang siya. He lost Loki. He lost Odin. He even lost Hela. Diba?
Lost her mother as well.
Lost her mother.
Yes.
His mom.
Nanay na.
Yun ang pinaka-importante, yung nanay niya.
Mm.
Frigga would be proud. But then again, all of those characters meant like nothing dito sa Love and Thunder. Like we're back to square one.
Oh,
Nagigets niyo yung point ko, guys.
balik
Na
tayo
parang
sa childish Thor.
we are on a constant time loop here na
Hmm.
ang ganda na sana nung build up ni Thor.
Yes.
Going to Infinity
yes.
War to Endgame, right?
We
Weight of
always
the
go back
world.
to that Thor.
Yeah. And then
Infinity
sa Love
War
and
to.
Thunder, naging comedic na naman siya, which makes totally no sense at all.
You want my thoughts on this about everything dito sa Thor natin dito sa Love and Thunder?
Go ahead, Jay.
Parang parang para sa akin, para siya yung Thor dun sa sa Marvel's What If yung tipong hindi pa na
yes.
yung
Mhm.
na natatamaan ng
Yung comedy.
ng yung
Yep.
yung nangyaring
The
yung
very first.
yung comedy na kay Thor, di ba? What I see in this is maybe this is a different version of Thor na hindi natin alam, na hindi naka-experience ng nung whatever, yung Endgame mo. Pero na-state sa movie. Pero yun ang dating sa akin eh. Wait, it wasn't this week ba?
Mm,
Di ko
Well, are we
na
talking
pick up
about-
or anything ngayon eh.
Are we talking about Thor dito or Thor
this Thor
sa
dito.
Yeah,
What If?
which the one
This
now.
Thor. Now, then,
No,
dito sa
alam
Love
mo
and
kung
Thunder.
bakit? Kasi you have Korg narrating the bullshit out of this. So,
Oo nga, no?
marami na siyang
Yeah.
pinagdaanan. And
Okay.
I'm not going to start with Korg, mamaya.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I
ayun nga,
agree with you guys.
parang yun ang dating sa akin eh. Parang yun yung ito yung Thor na yung hindi nakapag-experience ng certain kinds of events eh. The main giveaway is, why doesn't he still have yung past Mjolnir sa kanya? Like
Why is
yung
it-
nandun,
why is
hawak-hawak niya yung
Mjolnir?
hawak-hawak niya yung Stormbreaker tsaka yung yung Mjolnir, di ba? Yung naglaban
Mhm.
sila ng So,
Viking Thor Endgame.
oo. So, pagdating dito sa Love and Thunder, it's the smashed version of Mjolnir now, and then
Yep.
and then he doesn't have Mjolnir with him.
Oh no, kasi, di ba, the reason why
Did he
he
bring it
has
back ba?
Mjolnir in Endgame is because he went back to the past in order to get yung Mjolnir version past. Sa Dark World.
Yeah, pero he kept it eh.
No, then Captain
Hindi
America
rin
bring it
explain
back.
dito.
Yeah, he kept it, and
Diba?
also Captain America, ay
Yeah.
sabagay. Yeah, I think
Diba?
he kept it
Like,
back.
when
Binalik ni
he-
Cap along with
Yeah,
the
when
time
he had to
stones.
put everything back, diba?
Ay,
Binalik.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ito yung tanong dun eh. Binalik ba
sorry, hindi
talaga
ko
niya?
na-catch yun kasi
Yun yung tanong dun eh.
the MCU is basically yeah. Ibang-iba sa
Endgame poses a lot of questions talaga. Endgame poses a lot
Yeah.
of questions why everything's happening ng ganito.
Not to be too tangent to Endgame, guys. Pero gusto kong marinig yung thoughts nyo rito, guys. How nerf was Zeus in this movie? Like,
Some people are saying
you
that this is comic
satisfied?
accurate. No.
are you
I'm not.
satisfied
No,
that
no.
the great Zeus has been defeated just like that. Na
Kaya nga
parang,
eh.
binato ka lang ng
No,
kidlat.
knowing na idol din siya ni Thor, di ba?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would have been
Mm.
the reason if this was Zeus's character?
They're trying
Diba?
to say
That's what I
that this
thought.
is a
Ano pa
comic
yung sabi
book
nila?
accurate
Ano?
Zeus.
Mm.
What
Yun
comes
yung
after
ginagawa nila.
lightning? Ganyan.
Yeah, thunder.
What comes after?
Thunder.
Yeah.
Ganyan.
Guys, gusto ko lang ilagay ito no, sa context natin.
Mhm.
Zeus is equivalent to Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Norse and Greek
Uh,
mythology-wise.
North to Greek. Ganyan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
Sila yung
Mhm.
top tier talaga na God. And then,
Mhm.
what we saw in this movie is just,
watered down
plain
version of whatever that
carnival.
was.
Yeah. Sobrang
Mm.
kulang lang. Nakukulangan ako dun sa part na yun that it should have been
Kuya Bols. Ganun.
Yeah.
What if pag kinuha nila yung Norse and also Greek versions ni Zeus at saka ni
Odin.
Odin dun sa God of War universe.
No, ilabas na natin yun. Sa games naman yun. No? So, that's for another topic. Pero, on this case, isa rin yun yung question ko eh. How the
Parang masyadong
hell did Thor jump from Norse mythology to Greek mythology ng ganun-ganun lang? Like, Zeus
Valid.
existed all this time? Infinity War and game scene? Andun sila?
Yeah. And
Diba?
none of these gods did anything in Infinity War.
How I saw it
Exactly.
was like, you know how in Eternals, they weren't like meddling on purpose. So I saw it was like, okay, everyone in the omnipotent city is like the
Yeah.
same thing. Like, why would we meddle with the business of the mere mortals when we have our own thing going on here?
But
But
it's
can I
not
just-
just
yeah.
the business of the mere mortals, Maxine. When it comes
Well,
to Thanos,
kaya
that
nga,
involved
but-
everyone.
Kaya nga, but that's how it was explained in the previous movies, or at
Yeah.
least
Well,
what
for
I
the
picked up.
Eternals.
So sticking to
No,
that.
pero
Yeah.
Actually, yung
I
Eternals,
don't
Eternals.
see I don't see them not involving themselves knowing that half of the population half of the population of this entire universe will be at stake. It's far from
Mhm.
impossible. Actually, dapat mamaya pa to ni Kuya Bols. It's far-fetched na you wouldn't involve higher tier levels of gods when it comes to Infinity War and also Endgame.
Mm.
It's sabihin na natin, ba't hindi nakita ni Heimdall itong mga events na to? He could see everything, diba? Could have seen Thanos coming, kung tutuusin. Dahil during the time na buhay si Heimdall, he could see kung ano nangyayari and then hinahanap na ni Thanos yung Infinity Stones. I could akin it the same way when it comes to all these gods except for the dim sum god. I don't know what else. But so parang dapat
Dim sum
alam
god
nila,
Dim sum.
alam nila na
uh,
at stake lahat eh.
Mhm.
Why? Writing.
Mhm.
You were saying
You know,
kanina, Maxine?
Comment lang on the Zeus thing. What I saw that maybe this is reading too much into it, but like
Mm.
social commentary on how people are like how people become fanatics of certain people over the images of them that they have in their head, images that media can portray them to be versus the reality. But for this scene specifically, this is already like kind of switching topic. What I thought was going to happen was all of these gods are in one place. I thought Gore would come out and do some, gore
major
things.
damage. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he would do some major
yeah.
damage. Right? It would have been the perfect opportunity because, like, all if not most of them were there. Thor was there. It could have been an opportunity for another battle and for him to live up to his name. I was surprised that they didn't do that. So that's it. I don't know if I'm being nitpicky na, but that was something that I expected that didn't happen.
You know, one thing that I also expected here, since na-mention na rin ng Mighty Thor,
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that Beta Ray Bill would be somewhere in this movie.
It should have been he should have been kung ako lang ilalagay ko, he should have been in Dark World.
He should have. He should have been in Dark World. Wala, he was never introduced into And since the MCU is claiming that they're on Earth 616, he should be here.
No, they made a building or part of a building na naka-engrave yung mukha ni Beta Ray Bill in Ragnarok, but that wasn't enough. Knowing who
No, no,
Beta
no.
Ray
That
Bill
wasn't
is
pa.
in the
Oo.
comics. He's a major character.
Isa pa yun. I was also hoping that he would show up in Ragnarok na rin. Lalo dun sa may, sa may arena.
Di ba? Nandun yung mukha niya
Oo, yeah. Andun ang mukha niya kasi. Kasi, uy, baka nandito siya. Eh, hindi.
Wala.
Ano lang, it's just only a slight nod. Yun lang.
Pero fun yung Ragnarok, lalo na yung sinapak ni, ni Hulk sinapak ni Hulk si Thor, and then sabi ni Loki, that's how it feels. Diba, tumayo pa siya. Yung mga ano mismo dito.
Ragnarok was a fun movie talaga. Like,
Yeah, it was.
I actually miss that phase of the MCU. It was a really fun phase leading up to Endgame around that time of Ragnarok. At least for me, especially Ragnarok. That was one of my favorite Phase 3 movies.
I think people give Ragnarok a lot of credit because it gave the Thor character a bit of something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Just because of
Yeah.
how fun it was
Yeah.
for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And knowing that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 was a success based on almost the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
I think overestimated himself when it comes to this one. And I agree with the decision that they didn't include more scenes of the Guardians in this movie. Just because of how disjointed this movie was moving forward ng pag-alis ng Guardians. I can't imagine them na parang tama, i-limit na lang natin when it comes to Thor yung pagsira mo sa character niya. Don't need to include the Guardians of the Galaxy. They need to be elsewhere.
Yeah. But it's also a tight spot na they need to be elsewhere talaga. But because of what they established at the end of Endgame, you can't help but also want a better explanation as to why they wouldn't be there. If that makes sense. Because of what they were building up. We kind of touched on this kanina.
Yeah.
It's a writing
Diba?
problem.
Like, exactly. It could have been fixed with, Star-Lord saying something that will eventually lead into the next Guardians film. Na, we have to go because. Like, that one line would have made a difference for me. And also, I don't know if I'm being nitpicky again, but the pacing at which they left. Like, I understand why you wouldn't want them to
pacing
be
is all
in more
over
of
the
the
place.
film. But, like, why did it look like they were just shoved to the side? They could have
Yes.
exited a little more meaningfully.
Yeah, gracefully or something.
Yeah, if it meant them being there a few extra minutes, then I would have accepted it pa. But what it looked like was, okay, you're done. Bye. Exit.
The
So-
first few minutes of the movie was like retconning the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
Para alisin sila sa picture, to make it more problematic with Thor and Jane Foster, to make it more established that there's a real threat to Gore. Feeling ko yun yung ginawa nila eh. Kasi if Guardians of the Galaxy was present on the events of the Thor Love and Thunder, it would have been way easier than what
That's true.
we have watched. No,
Parang,
pero
parang sila
yet-
ginawang scapegoat eh. No pun intended Scapegoat ng yung sorry, sila yung ginawang scapegoat ng the guys who actually built and helped Thor to get back on his feet. Na nga lang, unfortunately, Thor adapted the humor that naiwan ni Star-Lord sa kanya, whatever that is.
Since you guys keep on mentioning retcon, how funny is it na renetcon ni Taika yung buong Endgame Thor with this one? Within a matter of 20 minutes, iba na yung Thor na nakikita natin compared dun sa Endgame Thor. Sorry, Fat Thor nag-end doon, and then ilang workout lang.
I mean,
yung pacing nitong movie na to talagang all over the place.
That's what I see dito. Sa endgame na Fat Thor, kala ko yun na yung relapse niya into going back into what he was being. Pero parang ang dating, ito yung relapse niya eh. Yung dito sa Love and Thunder, he went back into his childish ways eh. Sure, nabalik mo yung katawan mo, pero mentally, are you really fine, Thor?
Actually, I realize it now lang that we're having this conversation na the Thor we're seeing now, it's as if he didn't see the loss that he saw in the previous movie.
Yung sinabi
I
din
only
kanina.
realized that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Wala eh. I mean, they wanted to do something else. They clearly wanted to do something else with Thor. And it's really a writing problem na meron na itong movie na to. And it's very hard kasi you already launched this movie with an intention of showing this. Ang hirap
Mhm.
baguhin ito.
Hmm.
That's
Mhm.
why now kung meron pa ba kayong comments? I mean with
Wala
gore.
naman.
My comments would move us to another topic. So
Yeah.
none for me
Yeah,
so
sure.
far.
Sige. Sige. Kuya
Oh
Boss,
my
ikaw.
God.
Kasi nga dito din meron eh.
Nagagalit na si Thor.
Okay,
Dapat daw
ikaw
kasi
Kuya
inayos
Boss,
yung movie niya.
is there anything else? And any questions na gusto mo pa i-face sa amin or ano?
Pero
Naisip
siguro,
mo?
ngayon ko lang naisip na, kung bakit maganda yung Ragnarok, it was because of how Hela was depicted as a great villain and
Yes,
Mhm.
super.
Thor's combination with Loki, their chemistry.
Yeah.
That's what makes it
That's right.
funny na hindi pilit. And dito
Mm.
sa Love and Thunder, wala na si Loki. And Thor is just really awkward throwing these puns na hindi talaga, hindi siya nag-work. Even Jane Foster has its own cringy lines.
We're
Eat
really on a
my-
first name basis with Jane now, huh?
Dr. Jane Foster. My apologies. Pero siguro dahil ba with the lines, awkward ba siya dahil this is literally the first week he became Thor or the Mighty Thor, or it's the first month he became Mighty Thor? Kaya wala siyang masyadong masabi and may sakit siya? Or is at what's as what JM said, bad writing again?
Mm-mm.
It was their comedy. Like, I really think her trying to find the catchphrase, like, bare bones it, take it as it is. They want the character of Dr. Jane Foster to be going through this comedic struggle of finding a catchphrase. In theory, it's not a bad idea. But also in execution, that's a completely different thing. And I felt like
Mm.
if we went back to the previous movies, lines like that wouldn't really be said.
You know
So
what's
baka
even
nitpicky na
worse?
yun. Yeah.
You know, no, it's not. Because it's writing eh.
Okay.
I don't consider nitpick
Mhm.
when writing is concerned.
Oh.
Talaga. For me
Mhm.
So, you know what's worse? Is they made fun of cancer dito sa movie na to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Mhm.
They did.
seen
No,
it.
no.
And you have something that serious, dapat hindi nila ginagawang joke yun. That could have been a much more bigger or much worse weight na kailangan dalhin nito. Which would lead siguro mamaya din sa gusto kong sabihin kung i-write ko itong movie na to. They made fun of cancer and parang unapologetically pa. Which for me, how about, what if people with cancer are actually watching this na you're in stage 4 and then pinagtatawanan pa ni Darcy yung parang sa akin doon medyo naging off na you should have not been part of the script. Kasi for me lang, knowing people din na namatay with cancer, it shouldn't be made fun of.
Siguro
But then again,
I
nawalan na ng
think they're
steam.
trying,
Go.
like what you said earlier, they're trying too much to follow the comics as well without thinking na makakapagsagasa sila sa mga tao. Because sa comics, Jane Foster actually had cancer.
Yeah,
But
cancer.
at least there, they executed it very perfectly yung and very respectfully para sa mga tao may sakit dun sa ng cancer. And it's also stated there na eto nga ay yung hardship na pinagdaanan talaga ni Jane while she was sick with cancer dun sa comics. Dito it was well, I get it kung they're trying to cut some time dahil nga sa it's a film. But I believe that anything done bad can also be done good at the same time. Or rather, what I'm trying to say is, kung may panahon ka gumawa ng execute things badly, could have used that time to execute it more perfectly in that short amount of time. Kasi you can you can say na yung tipong I had cancer and then play like a quick flashback or yung mga struggles na leading up to one point na kung paano siya natawag ng Mjolnir. Again. So yeah, I agree. they executed that badly, especially from me din isa sa mga family members namin that also had cancer before. Kinda parang I really took offense to it because having that kind of sickness is not really a joke. And dito parang
Totoo.
ang dating kasi dito, parang yeah, you have stage 4 cancer. Yeah, no problem. Just hear the voice of Mjolnir and then you'll be fine. Yun lang
No, not only that,
yun ang dating
yung
eh.
change niya ng dalawa nung nag-IV drip siya, 'di
Sorry,
ba?
ano yan?
Yeah, when she was
Ano?
squishing the
Or
drip.
'di ba? Yun pa lang for na-trend,
Oo. Yeah,
'di ba?
oo.
Sa yung pagpunit niyo ng libro, yung sinabi ni Maxine kanina na
Mm.
okay. So again, you're just throwing shade on Jane Foster's character kung tutuusin and also cancer at the same time.
Saka hindi ka
The
kalbo.
yeah, excessive yung funny lines niya tipong hindi na nakakatawa. That's why people weren't laughing nung pinanood ko to.
Part na yun.
Maybe
Yeah.
kung pinanood ko siya the first day, ewan ko Kuya Bols, may tumawa ba doon?
Saang
Yung
part?
yung na-explain yung pinag-uusapan ni Darcy sa ni Jane yung cancer.
Wala.
May tumawa ba doon?
Wala.
Exactly.
I watched on the first day. It was quiet as well.
Yeah.
Diba?
I watched on the
Parang-
first day. It was quiet until the goats came. Yun lang naman yun eh.
The goats.
Oh, yung goats
The
yung
goats
naging
really did
eh.
something.
Oh, it's not funny anymore. The goats come in.
Credits to Taylor Swift for that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't read that article.
Yeah, it was based on that meme. Like,
Oh
we're
my
lying on a
God.
cold heart now. Doon siya kinuha ni Taika na hindi niya rin maalala actually yung movie, not until one of the interviews na binanggit yon kasi parehas. So, just a little trivia.
Yeah.
You know,
There's
from a
one part-
writing...
Go,
Yeah,
go,
you
go,
first,
go.
because this will
No,
bring
no,
it back.
yun
So
na,
you
iba
first.
na to eh.
Okay, sige.
Iba na to.
Sige.
Iba na.
So, from a writing perspective, I think what they were trying to do was make light of the situation in a sense that they wanted Jane to appear brave and passive because she's trying to be brave. But the thing is, they could have executed that better because, like, I also have had family members pass away due to cancer. And I think sometimes young people with cancer would want to see someone brave, someone battling out and being brave about it. But that can be shown in a movie without belittling the sickness because how big the sickness is also needs to be acknowledged. So I guess they could have shown that bravery without being insulting. If that makes sense.
I agree.
So, ayun.
And there's a part din na siguro there was an option here na dapat naligtas si Jane. Eh. Thor gave
Which one?
her that option. If you wield Mjolnir one more time, this is the end of you. If you don't, there's still a chance that you will survive. So talagang
Kita mo din yung
Diba?
love ni Thor eh. Yung tipong
Mhm.
ayaw na nga
Yeah,
ng paanin
yeah.
eh. Ayaw nilang mapahamak pa si Jane
Mhm.
Foster. And
Jane
Siyempre-
Foster had to save Thor for me. Kaya na ni Thor siya siguro.
kaya na eh. Actually, yun na nga. He also imbued those
The kids.
weapons for the kids.
Yeah.
And
They
then,
imbued the kids. Diba?
Yung ginawa na yun, man, I almost yelled in dun sa theater na yun. Why didn't you do this in Infinity War?
In Infinity
Diba?
War, and fine, okay, maybe not Infinity War because Thor's vision was a bit clouded, but in Endgame,
in Endgame pa
portal
lang.
scene.
Yeah, yung portal scene na yan.
Valhalla, I
Pero-
want to say something
Yeah.
about this, but later na.
Well,
Alright.
before we proceed, thank you so much for being here, Frank, and also Delora. Yun ang sabihin ko. I think they know what's going on. So, yeah. Sorry, go.
I'm good.
Maxine, go. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, I'll go to that Valhalla thing. Okay, because yes, Thor could have done all of that alone. He could have defeated Gore alone, but then Dr. Jane Foster did make the choice to go there and help him. My friend pointed out that was really the movie makers ending Jane's character arc. And what I did like about the ending was that she went to Valhalla because it reminded me of something she said in the first movie na I don't remember the exact line, but she referenced like there could be more out there that we haven't explored as humans. And for me, like that was a nice close because she got to see what she wanted to see. She got to see something beyond Earth, beyond beyond space that she already saw. She got to see Valhalla, and that was that was a good thing for her character. But this brings me to the decision that Gore made in the ending, but I think we have another round of things to
No.
talk about before we get to that. Huh.
I think for me, yun na yun. If anyone else na, no, and CR si Jay, so it's fine. Kuya Boss,
Mhm.
ikaw, anything else before we proceed dun sa changes na gusto natin gawin?
Well, there's one thing that I had in mind na hindi ko pa nababato.
Hmm.
Yung pagpili ni Thor kay Mjolnir at the end of the movie. Like, he's back to Mjolnir, totally disregarding the Stormbreaker.
Tapos
Although,
hindi
syempre, yung
nagselo sa
connotation ng
Stormbreaker.
love and thunder, giving quote-unquote love to, giving the Stormbreaker to love, and then him embracing the Mjolnir all over again. We're back to phase 1. So, parang ang weird lang nung part na yun talaga for Mjolnir being fixed again. Yun lang yung talaga nakikita kong butas ng ng story writing dito. Na it was supposed to be broken by the time Jane died. Pero hindi, buhay pa din yung Mjolnir. So, unlimited Uru Stones.
And saan napunta yung yung Thunderbolt?
Thunderbolt,
Parang it was still with him, but like no one knows where it is.
Wala, di
Basta
ba?
it's just
No one knows
there.
where it is.
It's just
Kung
there
totoo-
somewhere.
Kung tutusin,
Or-
for me, parang mas malakas pa yung Thunderbolt kaysa sa Mjolnir. For me,
or baka na kay
Based on-
Valkyrie.
It's hidden in Norway.
Ayun lang. I agree. I totally agree with it na what happened there. And not to mention, kung titignan mo yung specs niya, why is the kid carrying the longer weapon na dapat suited kay Thor? You could have given
Exactly.
Mjolnir. And imposibleng hindi worthy yon. Number one, wala pang ginawang masama yung bata.
Mhm.
So that itself qualified na yung bata nun. Knowing na they share kinship with Thor na he has a responsibility. Kung binulungan nga ni Thor si Mjolnir, di ba? Na pwedeng protektahan si Jane, why not pass this weapon to the kid? Sa anak ni Gore.
Mhm.
That's one
There's
good point.
no explanation talaga. So, ayun. No comments dito. Okay. Si Nicole
No, my
Maverick may
comments are
sinabi.
really for
May reason bakit put back sa places 6.
May reason kung bakit na balik siguro.
Binalik.
What is the reason?
Yeah.
There's no reasoning when it comes to writing. There's no proper explanation here. And not to mention, di ba, selos si Stormbreaker kay Mjolnir.
Yeah.
The end of the show, parang, again, this is not congruent to what you're telling us, YTP. And it's not enough for you to destroy Thor. You also destroy inanimate objects as well. Again, that's my opinion. So, sige, simulan na natin yung far more interesting part nitong discussion na to. It's what direction would you guys taken or what parts na gusto nyo tanggalin sa baguhin when it comes to this movie? Siguro I'll go ahead and start with Jay because I think Jay has limited time na. So,
Yeah.
Jay,
I'll go after.
definitely.
Need to go after in a bit. So, sorry, can I just collect my thoughts muna?
Go.
So skip muna.
Okay, I'll
sige.
go first. But
Maxine.
I do have a question before I give my rewrites. Gore's decision in the end to bring his daughter back, was that in the comics or was that an MCU thing? Can anyone answer that?
Part of the comics.
Guys.
Alam ko
Is
hindi.
It's not. Okay.
Alam ko hindi.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
kasi it's
Yeah.
parang Eternity wasn't functioning that way in the comics.
Okay.
Eternity
Okay.
is somewhat of a god na tipong siya, hindi siya inanimate. I forgot the term, pero ka-level si yung mga ibang celestials na big time na. So I'm wondering why they
Okay.
made that retcon with Eternity in the way that they did. I'll try to answer that
Mm.
question mamaya. But yeah, sige.
You want
Okay.
me to answer it now?
Yeah, sige.
All right.
Sagutin mo na.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. In the comics, he never had a daughter. He had a
Yeah,
It
son.
they
was a
never had a daughter
son.
in the
It
first
was a
place.
He
son.
had a
That I
son.
knew.
Yun lang yun.
Mm.
So, it's another way of MCU's putting a spin on things. Yun lang yun.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's my opinion on that.
Okay, so that furthers because like that would be the one, like if I were to only change one thing, that would be it. But I'll get there. I think if I directed this movie, if I wrote this movie, I would have made it somewhere in between the first Thor movie and Ragnarok. Like I would keep the Taika Waititi touch because like I already like the identity he gave Thor in Ragnarok. But
Mhm.
Yes.
after Infinity War and Endgame, I know that Thor might not have it in him to be that comedic, to be that funny, to be Ragnarok Thor. You need to see the loss in him. So I would have basically done Ragnarok, but in a darker tone, if that makes sense. And then I would have used more of the time, maybe not 4 hours, but like as long as Spider-Man Far From Home, like 2.5 hours, I think that would have been enough to at least fix the pacing, not make it look like we're jumping from one thing to another all the time. People
Mhm.
could have been ushered in and out a little more properly. I would have fleshed out. I've been saying this kanina pa. I would have fleshed out Gore being a god butcher a little more. I would have given him at least one more battle where we don't even need to see Thor there. We just have to see him fulfilling his purpose, using the sword,
Being
maybe bring in
corrupted.
another. Yeah, exactly. We need to see him being corrupted more instead of just that. So I would have fleshed him out a lot more. Dr. Jane Foster, I would have added a little more history between her and Mjolnir, not in the flashbacks, but everything that would lead up, everything that happened after she wields Mjolnir the first time and she meets Thor. I would have wanted to see what she was doing in between that. Maybe it would. I know that's a little bit hard to pull off because there probably would have been a lot, but just a little more for me would have made a difference, especially because this is probably the only time we're going to see her. With that's probably the last time. And then lastly, like I didn't get to say this in the beginning, but I could forgive everything except for Gore's decision. Because I did say in the beginning, I enjoyed the movie, I loved it, casual viewing, it's nice and light, but in the context of the MCU, that decision just didn't make any sense to me at all. Na Gore, the whole movie wanted to be with his daughter again, was avenging his daughter, and then all of a sudden he's going to bring her back to Earth, give her the trauma pa of watching him die, and then wala na, like she'll be with Thor. Like how are you even sure that Thor is going to take care of her? We know that because we know the character of Thor, but I don't feel like the decision was earned, and I feel like he could have chosen something else. It would have butchered the lore of the MCU to give Jane some health. I honestly thought that if they were MCUifying it, that's what they would do. Na he would wish Jane good health and be able to live her life with Thor. But it could have been any other decision. It really just
Mm.
didn't sit well with me that he brought his daughter back when he himself wasn't going to be there. And then all of a sudden now Thor is taking care of his daughter. Like okay, that's interesting. But that's interesting, but why? There's nothing in the movie that points to why that decision would be made. So ayun, if I were to bring it down to just one issue, that's really my main issue. And then I guess like in the broader context of the MCU, what I'm looking for in Phase 4 is direction because like
Mm.
as mentioned earlier, it's been the longest phase. By this point in the earlier phases, we would already know what the umbrella problem is, what the big bad, like what the big bad of of the first three phases. Like we knew what it was going to be. There was some semblance of continuity, even if not all characters were present in each movie.
Movie.
Yeah,
Mm.
but like I just don't see it yet. And I was hoping that Thor would at least start that conversation on what is going on in phase 4 since everyone is like sprouting new things muna. But and it is a
Yes.
lot for one movie, but I thought that this would at least begin that. Now the comments, so Maxine, with all due respect, you prefer Fat Thor, that personality, than the badass from the first Thor movie. No, my favorite Thor, which I mentioned earlier, is the Ragnarok Infinity War Thor.
Mm.
Mm.
Like I would have wanted to see a Thor like that, but I don't know how to explain it. Like that Thor, that power, but having seen loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not Right,
I would.
right. Like you can
Mm,
still make him, like you can still give him the comedy. That's Taika's signature naman the comedy. But like not how it's been happening. And I will say, like, I'm still a fan of Taika's directing because what I liked about him, Jojo Rabbit, I'll use Jojo Rabbit as an example. Now,
mm,
he'll bring up things early in the movie that will have a point later on. The shoes. You don't know why he's focusing on shoes. Then you understand later on. That's
it
a
doesn't happen. It didn't
tactic.
happen here.
Yeah, that's a tactic of his that I like that I didn't see here. So,
Mm.
ayun, end scene.
May,
End scene.
Maxine,
Okay.
siguro,
Yeah.
ang ganda ng binanggit mo kanina, no? It's about
Which one?
the Thor in between Ragnarok and Infinity War. Kasi may scene na
Mhm.
pumasok sa isip ko. It was about him explaining his life towards the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like
Mhm.
when Drax or I think Rocket said that
Mhm.
Thanos is Gamora's father. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Okay.
there's this sort of empathy towards Thor that I feel you. Families can be tough. Diba?
Yes,
That I
yes.
think that's the
Mm.
max out
Mhm.
Thor that na talagang the best na makikita
Mhm.
natin, no?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
one thing also to point out dun sa mga binanggit mo is yung linya ni Gore about his kid na sabi niya my kid is lucky. She has been blessed not to see the ugliness of this world. Something like that.
Mhm.
May
Mhm.
ganong klase siyang binanggit eh. So it made total sense on your point na parang nonsense nga kung bubuhayin niya ulit yung anak niya without him being there.
In, 'di ba? Like that really didn't make sense to me. But
Mm.
that's my opinion. That's how
Mm.
Mm.
I would have done it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
like how you bring up that conversation specifically because like we know that Thor is strong. He's been through so much. There's a way of handling that. Like for a fictional character, there could have been a way of handling that. Like I'm trying to keep it together. I really am. I'm trying to be a brighter version of myself despite this. But that could have been done without putting in too much comedy. There's a
And
balance that could be found. Yeah.
Yeah, mentioned this
I think
before. Exactly.
Mm. Exactly. Yeah.
I
It's
think
from earlier.
personally, Taika Waititi cannot handle the first Thor. Hindi niya kayang gawin yung character niya yun. Hindi niya kayang gawa ng continuation. If you could see yung pattern ng ginagawa niya, it's whole antithesis na meron yung series na Thor and also yung Infinity War. It's far different kung anong
Mm.
meron dun sa Ragnarok and also dito. If you could see na leading from Ragnarok, may gap doon and then Infinity War, how different it is when it comes to writing the character ni Thor from Ragnarok to Infinity War. It's totally different yung vision na meron yung Russo. I would go as far as to say that yung vision na meron yung Russo brothers for the Thor character was a lot more congruent on his origin in Thor 1 and also Thor 2. So talagang naiiba yung approach na meron si Taika. You guys do
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, blatantly ako hindi ko na-enjoy yung depiction ng Thor niya. Pero this is a hard decision na meron yung yung directors because if you're not going to continue on with the legacy na meron ginawa si Kenneth Branagh and also si yung Russo brothers, you might as well not tackle this character. Yun yung point ko. Dahil if you're going to make it into a very comedic, which na yun nga, lumabas na ngayon, as much as we could praise yung ginawa niya sa Ragnarok, it totally destroyed kasi kung anong semblance na meron talaga si Thor. Jay could agree with this when it comes to the lore. Thor was never a comedy character to begin with. He was always serious. He was always on the fence kung tutulong siya o hindi. Kasi he has Asgard, the new Asgard na kailangan niya asikasuhin. And
Yun nga, he doesn't focus on Earth.
yeah, his focus is not on Earth talaga. Pero yung character assassination kasi, I'm not in any way offending or at least insulting both Maxine, Jay, or Kuya Bols kasi gusto niyo si Taika. I'm insulting Taika's decision on why he took a character that he probably knows little about. Kaya ginawa niya tong version na to. Yun yung pinaka sakit sa ulo ko na imagine, sa tingin mo ba kukunin ni Taika Waititi ang Batman project with this kind of malamang hindi niya gagawin. So, yun yung kinasama ng loob ko nung ginawa tong movie na to because I knew deep inside na may gantong part na mangyayari na you guys, not you guys pero sila, yung direction nila, you guys are going to take out whatever happened from the past from 1 until Infinity War, and then even ngayon pag-retcon nyo sa ginawa ni Russo dun sa Endgame, you guys are going to forget all of it and see kung paano nagsimula si Thor dito, nakaupo siya, waiting for someone na tumawag sa kanya, and then may tumawag sa kanya, hindi pa siya seryoso. So, that clearly shows for me the lack of dedication na meron sa Taika Waititi when it comes to Thor as a character. But, I cannot forget din yung ginawa niya maganda sa Ragnarok because that jump-started the character again. So, yung success nun, it will always be there. But I cannot also turn a blind eye kung paano mo sinira yung character ni Thor. That for me, it was for me as a fan ni Thor as a character dito sa 1 and also sa Endgame, it was completely offensive for me. And it's hard for me to stomach na yun yung worst part nito. Kaya sinasabi ko na there's a balance between Multiverse of Madness, yung inis ko saka dito. It's because you destroyed one of my top 3 characters. But then again, that's just subjective. Probably for me and also kay Frank, kaya tinanong niya yung question sa'yo, Maxine, kanina. So, yun. I know where he's coming from kasi na-enjoy niya yung yung unang tatlong movies. So, ganun din ako. Not saying maganda yung Dark, yung Dark World, not saying. Pero, siguro, Jay, gusto mo bang ikaw na sunod dun sa, writing? Or gusto mo ako muna? Tapos si Kuya Bols.
Singit ko lang din since malapit naman din ako,
Sige.
I completely agree din dito kay Maxine. So, not really much can be added pa. Kasi, ayun nga, I wish they could have just toned down the comedy more and make it more into a serious movie. Especially yung after seeing the credits na rin, yung i-introduce na nga nila si Hercules sa I'm not sure what version of Hercules
anong gagawin nila? Hercules ang gagawin nila.
Kasi, if they're going Earth 616 path, and then they should introduce Amora first. The Enchantress kasi doon sa storyline na yon parang na-seduce na si Hercules into attacking Thor and not Zeus himself na yung mag-uutos na yung na go after Thor, blah blah blah, whatever comes in the comic. Ngayon, if they go down that path, they should have introduced Hercules right at at Ragnarok or even at Infinity War. Pero
or
kung
they could have introduced Hercules sa Guardians of the Galaxy 2, di ba?
Pwede rin.
Pwede
Yes. That would be that would be perfect. Sa And if they introduce him this late, it gives me the idea that we're already, ayan na nga, pumapasok na tayo sa, sa MCM. Multiverse of Madness na talaga, or multiverse na talaga natin na, na mga, which follows the comics. Is if they're going that part na, ang expectations ko na sana mangyayari dun if they're going to, to introduce Hercules now, is sundan naman nila sana naman din yung timeline na yung tipong na ma-encounter lang Enchantress and then maaaway naman ni Hercules na kasama his group of other gods. Ganun, nakalimutan ko na ng mga pangalan nila doon sa comics. They go after the Avengers, yung bagong Avengers na andun si Wolverine. So hopefully nasundan nila to. And then from what I recall then, I think in a different multiverse then, Hercules also had a romantic relationship with Wolverine. So so food for thought. Sana lang. I think of course being the comic freak right here na
Mhm.
Sana naman ayusin nila yung pag nila kay Thor, ay kay Hercules, especially when they're introducing him this late.
Mhm.
Eh, yun lang.
It's like
So,
ano din, di ba? Sorry saying it, Kuya. It's like Adam
Yeah.
Warlock coming in very
Mm.
too late na.
It's too late
Mm.
Di ba?
now.
It's too late.
You already brought it up. Where the hell is he?
Oh. He could have arrived in this movie kung tutusin, di ba?
He
Kasi
could
the
have
Guardians were
arrived
here.
sa Infinity
He
War
could
pa
have
lang
arrived
kasi
in the start of Endgame. Imbes na
Mhm.
si Captain
That's what
Marvel
I
yung
thought.
pumasok.
That's
yun
what
nga,
I
kasi
thought actually. That he'd be
Yeah.
introduced sometime in the last
Infinity
Infinity
War
Saga
saga.
movies.
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, so he played a very, very vital role sa comics,
He
especially with
saved
bringing
everyone
down.
in the
He
comics.
saved everyone in the comics.
Yeah.
Even si si Nebula din technically.
Oh, both of them never even died, di
Yeah.
ba? So, ayun.
Ay, no.
You know what I
Yeah.
think happened there? Diba Guardians of the Galaxy 3? That's when he was supposed to be introduced for real. And then everything happened with James
Delayed.
Gunn. So yeah, things got delayed. But given everything that's happened in the past 2 years, na schedules had to change. Do you think that this movie specifically was written differently originally, but because of everything that happened the past 2 years, they didn't follow the original MCU timeline they were going to go through. So biglang they had to do rush
Yeah.
changes. Do you think that
I
happened?
I
Mm.
agree with the latter what you
Mm.
just said. So
Yeah.
pretty much they have to pick up with whatever
Yeah.
script they had with them.
Yeah.
It's pay-bye ng mga directors sa mga movies nila, 'di ba?
I think the
So
biggest
Mhm.
issue na meron doon is they already planned this one out. And alam ko
Mhm.
ongoing
Mhm.
pa rin ongoing pa rin yung paggawa ng movie na to in 2020. They could have made
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
different script pero they chose not to. So what falls in the problem here is Taika again overestimating yung comedy ng Ragnarok na he thought that would be a winning formula here. Well, when it comes to the revenue, even the revenue ngayon debatable kasi hindi pa siya nagbe-break even. So
It's not doing well
it's not
in
doing well. It
the
has
box
a
office. Not doing well.
30% drop off ngayong linggo na to. So ganun kalaki yung loss of interest ng tao when it comes to this. It's always
I have
going
to
to be a
point
good
out as
start.
well. I have to point out as well. Ever since they got bought by Disney, everything
Ah.
went fuck all. Yeah, everything went fuck all. I mean,
Yeah, it's already
take a good look at the Spider-Man movies, and maybe you can also put it as well as the Venom movies as well. Compare mo yung level of violence and gore and the use of language compared there in to the MCU na hawak ng Disney.
Sony kasi yun.
Yeah, Sony handled it differently compared on the Disney side of MCU.
Mm. Mhm.
Ever since. And right before MCU, I mean, Disney even had their hands on MCU. Ang ganda ng quality. That was phase 1.
Mm.
And hanggang phase
Phase
2,
1 and
diba?
phase 2.
Phase
Phase
2,
3
diba?
pumasok sila. Mm.
Yeah, it was good. Until Disney stepped in just to cater for the more kiddie audience. And ayun nga, they had to,
Don't know about that.
parang it's like comparing the Attitude Era stepping into the, WWE's PG era na naging PG na lahat. Kaya, ayun lang.
Kuya Bols, ikaw, anything you'd like to add in doon? Sinabi ni Maxine.
Well, medyo marami, no? Pero siguro later na lang i-bring up ko yung kung ano yung
Mhm.
expectation ko dun sana sa movie.
I think tapos na si Jay. Tapos ka na, no, Jay?
Tapos
Yun
ka na
na
ba,
ba
Jay?
yun?
Actually,
Is it my
tapos na
turn?
na. And I also have to go now. And so, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sige.
Yeah, so I'm just going to have to set up some things right here. And so, thank you. Maraming salamat, guys. That's a very healthy
Hindi ko na
discussion.
ma-flash yung ano mo,
Sabi mo,
Jay, yung page mo. But again, visit
Yeah, it's
Losing
fine.
Streak Gaming. Pero may gagawin ka pa mamaya. I think you're still going to stream a game.
Yeah, we'll see. Because something just came up right here that I need
Okay.
to attend
Do
to.
something
And
else muna.
I'll see if I can also stream later. So thank you,
Okay.
JM. Thank you, Maxine, and also
And
thank you,
anything
Kuya
happen
Bols.
Thank
tomorrow?
you. It's
Sorry.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Anything happening tomorrow?
Happening tomorrow, we'll be talking about anime games.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Yeah, anime games.
Sige.
So
Again, Losing
yeah,
Streak Gaming, visit the channel, Anime Games Podcast tomorrow on the end. Sorry, I wasn't able to pull up your page dahil
It's
maganda
fine,
tong
it's
usapan
fine, it's
natin.
yeah.
See you later,
I'm sorry.
Jay.
Yeah, I'm sorry I have to leave this early, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity
Yeah.
to speak with our
Definitely.
very
Always.
esteemed
Backread
guest.
mo na lang, reply mo na lang Jay yung sasabihin ko para marinig mo.
I-replay ko talaga to. I-replay ko talaga. I have to go back after this. That's what I always
Aalis
do
ka
with this
no,
channel.
kailan magsasalta si Kuya Bols, anak ng toko.
Oo nga eh.
Sorry naman.
Pero I
Sorry naman,
understand,
pre.
pare.
Sorry naman, pre. Sorry naman. I'll
Jay.
get back to you. Okay?
Always a pleasure, Jay. See you later, man.
Oh,
Thank you.
Always a pleasure,
Bye,
two
man.
dudes.
See you around.
Thank you.
Amen.
Good night, guys.
Thank you. Kuya Bols,
Okay.
you were saying
Okay. Team. Kumbaga, just to wrap things up.
for you.
Just to correct dun sa binanggit mo, JM, kanina, I'm not a fan
Mm.
of Taika Waititi. I'm more of
I
a
mean,
fan.
fan ka nung Ragnarok. Yun yung sinasabi
Ragnarok.
ko. Wala ko
Mhm.
sinabing
Yeah,
fan
yeah.
kayo
Ragnarok.
na. Si ano, si
Yeah, yeah.
Maxine is a fan of Taika.
Yeah.
I also like how Free Guy, he made Free Guy. Pero that was for another topic.
Sino bang gumawa nun?
Again,
Gumala.
ang ganda nung ginawa nila sa Ragnarok. I enjoyed everything about it. Pero dito sa Love and Thunder, siguro magsisimula ako dun sa... Kasi meron ditong notion sa akin na ang ganda nung Ragnarok and with the same director, ang taas ng naging expectation ko for Thor's
That's
Love
so
and
true.
Thunder.
That's so true.
Hindi ko pwedeng ialis kay Taika na maganda yung theme song. I love the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was not played on the same sweet spot as how Ragnarok did it. Parang it was that awkward moment when the goats came out of nowhere and then nagkaroon ng scene na medyo magulo yung part na yun. Not unlike on the Ragnarok side, nakita niya na yung na-realize niya na yung full potential niya. Tsaka
Okay, yung
tumugtog
Odin's
yung song.
power niya. Di ba dumating yung immigrant song na bagay na bagay
That was
talaga.
that was priceless. But
Yeah.
it was not
That
the
was-
same sweet spot as how Ragnarok has how Thor Love and Thunder depicted it. Another thing that I love about the movie is the bring me the axe scene, the monochrome scene, and the monochrome fight.
That was good.
Monochrome
That was
scene
good.
was great.
Hindi ako pumikit ng part na yun, so let's give it to Taika for that. And also, I love Thor's costume. Yung scene na yon kung saan hinahanap niya si Jane and yung Mjolnir and yung helmet na lumabas for such, I don't know, 5 minutes. That was great for me at least. Medyo na-excite ako dun sa part na yon and maganda talaga
CGI
yung
nung
bagong costume.
Here we go with the CGI.
CGI nung helmet nun pre was just bad for me. Yung
Yeah.
yung kay Thor.
Pero para sa akin, ang ganda niya kasi parang maganda siyang gawin laruan. So, me being a toy collector, kinilig
Yeah.
ako doon. Yeah.
I
So,
was-
here comes the heavy side. What could have been better? If I will
No,
be
sige.
able
Go.
to at least say my takes on this, or be
Yeah,
a co-director.
you can go.
No,
No,
kanina ko pa binabanggit.
put your shoes pre na ikaw nagde-direct. Not
You're the main
co-director, ikaw yung
director.
Okay.
ikaw ang main director.
Sige. Siguro what could have been better is the fight between Thor and Zeus. Thor being a representation of the blue thunder and Zeus being the representation of the yellow lightning. Imagine kung yung naglaban sila, kidlat to kidlat, tapos umiilaw din yung mata ni Zeus in his prime. Despite of his body, Zeus is always at his prime. That's Zeus. Ang laki ng respeto ko kay Zeus when it comes to power. When it comes to his mythology, talagang no words. But yan again, I was disappointed on how they depicted Zeus in this movie. So that's my number one nitpick on this movie. The second part was the death of Jane Foster and the never-ending Mjolnir. So, at least sana dun sa part na yon binigyan nila ng justice yung pagkamatay ni Jane Foster by destroying Mjolnir totally. Sana dun sa part na yon nag-end na yon para at least mas mabigat yung nangyari dun sa scene. Kasi ang nangyari, it's like, walang naging consequence. Andun pa rin yung Mjolnir, nasira yung Necrosword, nawala si Jane Foster, pero nandun pa rin yung Mjolnir. So, yun nga, binabanggit ko kanina para lang tayong nasa loophole. Another thing that I think I can fix or I want to fix on this movie is the exit of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like what Maxine said earlier before. We were a family. Look into my eyes. You see, you're not alone. Diba? Every time binabanggit yan sa atin sa Endgame in-establish yung kanilang bond between each other, no? And it was depicted that Thor would be the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Pero the way kung paano sila pinakita dito sa Thor Love and Thunder, parang, a lack of better term, niretcon lang talaga sila. It was not something meaningful. It was not something about being in a group. You know how Guardians of the Galaxy is a real solid group, right? Comedic
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And even in the comics, I'm aware na talagang may solid bonding sila. Pero hindi sila bumalik for Thor at the end of the movie. I don't know if it's what always JM is saying, that it's bad writing. Pero at least sana nagkaroon man lang ng justice na merong naging resulta yung pinagsamahan nila towards the middle of Endgame, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, and all the TV series, and then Love and Thunder. Yun. Kasi para sa akin, magiging maganda sana yung movie na yon kung meron silang specific bonding or specific airing time. One thing that I could also nitpick on this is, yun nga, nabanggit ni Maxine kanina, which I na-realize ko lang din lately, yung appearance ni Gore, it was just implied. And yung part ng pagiging God Butcher niya, implied lang all throughout. Hindi pinakita. So there was no, alam mo yun, yung pagiging villain niya, medyo nagkulang ng sapak because of that. I don't know kung nakat yung part na yon, pero it was missing. Nakita na lang natin siya, kinidnap niya na yung mga bata.
Which also doesn't make sense for me, pre. When it comes to Gore, kaya sinabi ko to kanina, na yung character ni Gore dito hindi siya consistent. You would imagine that you lost your daughter, that you would be empathetic and also sweet to children regardless if they're from Asgard or hindi. He was a total asshole when it comes to the children dito, to the point na pinugutan pa niya ng ulo yung isa just to make a point.
Yeah, and the story, yeah.
Diba? Parang, anyway, sorry. May ano ka pa, may tatagdag ka pa yata.
Yeah, yun lang. Kung meron na talaga akong i-improve, the battle between Thor and Zeus would be a lot more better.
Ako, I agree. There's nothing I oppose. You could actually write a better story than this. Both of you three, all of you three could write. Siguro sa akin medyo mahaba. It might last for about 10 minutes kung magsasabi ako. So I'll try to make it concise as possible. Number one, I would erase almost everything. Doon ako magsisimula. I would retain yung mga parts na gusto ko. Ano yung retain ko? I might retain yung first scene ni Gore pati yung anak niya. Definitely. Talagay ko doon yon. I would
That was
retain...
good establishment, pero yan.
Establishment out of nowhere, di ba? Parang out of nowhere, kulang context. Parang what happened here? But we obviously see kung anong problema ni Gore doon sa planet niya.
Yes.
And then, I would retain the whole black and white shadow realm. Kasi maganda yung part na yon. And I would retain some parts of the ending. When I mean the ending, it's the final, not really final battle, tatanggalin ko yun. Mostly. Pero I will retain yung napuntahan na nila sa Eternity. And I'm not going to use Eternity. So, siguro just to chop it, try kong bilisan, ang unang gagawin doon, tama yung ginawang direction nila doon, and then, dediretso ko na. Instead of finding the sun god, siguro mahanap din niya, pero to the point na parang, ang mangyayari dito kasi hingi siya ng tulong, same thing, pero hindi nila i-insultuhin si Gore. Ang gagawin nila is, makikita na ni Gore, so who died there? And then no one will answer the question. Tapos biglang, ano yun na nila, tulungan mo ba ako? Hindi, I'm sorry, but I have other things to do. But not in an insulting way. And then, pe-personally ni Gore yun because he's the last person who submits himself to this god. And then, dun papasok yung next sword.
That's nice,
So,
actually.
Yun, patay siya, No explanation, hindi sasabihin ng Sun God na you were chosen because obviously, alam na natin yun as viewers, he was chosen kasi pumunta sa kamay niya. So, when it comes to Thor naman, I would erase majority ng ginawa niya. I would erase the whole kwento ni tawag dito, yung whole kwento ni Korg. Actually, gusto kong tanggalin si Korg dito sa buong movie na to. Just because lahat nila exposition ng ginagawa niya. Ang gagawin ko dito is concentrate dun sa kung anong ginagawa nila ng Guardians. Katulad ng sinabi ni Kuya Bols. I would concentrate dun sa yung severity ng nangyayari. Not in a comedic way, but also what did the Galaxy of the Guardians of the Galaxy stood for? They were protecting people, protecting innocent people. Yun dapat. Kung totoo sa titignan mo yung character ni Thor, he was actually protecting everyone. Regardless kung anong klaseng race sila, humans, non-humans, as guardians, aliens. Kasi yun ang in-inherit sa kanya ni Odin to protect the weak. Kasi kaya niya. So, gawin natin seryoso yung part na yon. Medyo comedic, palitan na yan dalawa ni Star-Lord, most probably. Parang ang mangyayari pa dito, if you guys remember Lord of the Rings, may part na si Gimli, pati si Legolas na nag-uunahan sila. Yun ang gagawin ko.
Yeah. I love that.
That would be funnier, di ba? Parang mas funny pa yun.
I love
And then
that.
extra si Drax na maghihirit ng nonsense. So, that could have been better. And then never
could have
destroy.
been
That would have
diba?
been so good.
Diba? You would never
Yeah.
destroy the place of worship na meron tong mga aliens na to. And say that it was a victory. So, ang mangyayari nun, after nila iligtas yun, tama pa rin yung direction nila, tumawag si Sif. Tumawag si Sif, kailangan niya ng tulong. God Butcher is currently slaying the gods here regardless kung sino. So, pupunta siya doon. Pero, I don't need that part na parang sinabi mo na nga kay Star-Lord na kailangan natin magmadali and then ang ginawa niyo, nagkwentuhan pa kayo. Sif was the first love ni Thor kung tutusin. Kung titignan mo yung ano nangyayari, siya yung pinakaunang nagustuhan ni Thor dun sa Thor 1. So, kaya sinabi ko kanina na sinira nila yung character ni Sif dito. Imagine na lang, gusto niyang mamatay. And then parang dinuloko pa Thor that it's a joke na parang in order for you to enter Valhalla, you need to die within battle. You didn't die within battle. So, what the hell? This is a person that you fought with. Not to mention na sinira niyo rin yung Heroes 3, yung kasama nila. Hindi man lang kilala ni Korg kung sino yung tatlong doon. You should have not mentioned anyone na parang wag mo nang insultuhin yung past. We know na ganun nangyari sa kanila. Okay na kami doon. And also, siguro point out ko na rin, nitpick, I cannot consider it as a nitpick kasi parang pinagtatawanan pa ni Korg or ginagawa niyong comedic pa yung each and every time na namatay si Loki. Kung napansin nyo. Ginagawa pa nila comedic lahat yun. Take all of those away kasi we want to concentrate dun sa Rise of Thor again. That was yun yung ano ng movie na to eh. So moving forward na yun nga malapit na mamatay, so investigation blah blah blah, and then we pick up with Jane Foster katulad ng sinabi ko kanina. We are going to make it a lot more serious than what it is. No jokes with cancer, probably just joke around kung ilang araw na how much time na yan tayo with here, some jokes there, and then probably read, same din, basahin natin, pero I'm not going to make sure na, ganito, parang babasahin ko na interesting. Wala ka nang ipapakita yung book sa'yo. Interesting na lang, binasa niya. So, that would give you mystery kung anong balak niyang gagawin. Next, pupunta siya ng New Asgard and then approach Mjolnir, na siya lang ang nakakaalam, di ba? Parang for the new viewers, so, okay, so, what's gonna happen here? Even yung sabihin natin yung mga comic book enthusiasts and fans katulad ni Jay, they would appreciate na, so this is going to be a mystery kung anong gagawin nila kay Lady Thor. So, tama pa rin yun. I would maintain that and then ipapakita ko kung paano, ano yung effect sa kanya. And then, jumping over dun na, kay Gore na nagkita-kita sila, everything, unang laban, same pa rin, walang problema doon. And then, let's move ahead to Omnipotence City. Tama yung direction ni Kuya Boss. I would have made Zeus a far respectable god dito. We would have talked regarding the dead gods, and I would have made Zeus a far more likable character dito, in a sense na gusto ko siya maging bida. Not because I require him to be bida, just because of benevolence, knowing na our colleagues are dying. We have one of our best people, yun nga yung malaking pinakita na pinatay ni Gore. One of the best, nicest gods died in the hands of this this person. So we need to do something. Pero to the point na wala silang gustong gawin dahil takot sila sa Necrosword. And then doon papasok si Thor, offer some advice, pero I'm not going to include yung nahubaran siya. I don't like the tattoo na nakalagay sa likuran niya. That was a total insult to everything that Loki and Endgame and also Infinity War stood for. So, hindi umagri si Zeus. That's fine. Laban tayo ngayon. And natalo ni Thor si Zeus in a one-on-one battle. Maganda yung scenario na binigay ni Kuya Bols. It's going to be orange versus blue. Ganda yon. So, knowing natalo siya, and then, siguro ilalagay ko doon, so, you are just like your father, Odin. Now I'm going to give you the Thunderbolt. And do the gods justice. So, doon pa lang. Di ba? Nothing of this comedic bullshit na ginawa ni Taika. Sorry, parang you need something serious when the stakes are very high. Yun yung pinopoint out ko. You need something serious. Pasok mo yung maliliit na yung comedies niya. That's fine. Kanya rin, nagkakaroon sila ng onting usapan na ba naglalaban sila na parang nagre-reflect sila, this is the way I slay Thanos. Yung mga ganon. Who the hell is Thanos? Gaganon siya si Zeus.
Yeah.
Like, simpleng ganon. We could rewrite a better movie than this. I'm sorry. Yun na naramdaman ko. I'm getting very hype up. Sorry. Sumasakit yung ulo ko na.
Go ahead.
So, and
You're
then,
making good sense.
And then after nun, I would totally take out Valkyrie at this point. Why? Because sasabihin ni Thor, if anything else happens to me and also to Jane, we need someone to look after New Asgard.
That makes more sense.
And ibibigay ko, wala ko ibibigay sa kanya. Wala ko i-assign sa kanya. So, ganun ang gagawin ko. And I'm also going to take out yung comedic na balikan nila nung pangalan nito, yung anak ni Heimdall.
Yeah.
The kids don't need that. What the kids need is someone na medyo magga-guide sa kanila. Dapat ganun ang ginawa nila Thor. 'Di ba? You only have a limited time na kausapin sila. Do it in a proper way. So, tapos na natin yon, yung buong nangyari sa negative zone, probably I will retain it. Pero hindi ko itatapon yung Mjolnir palabas. Yung Stormbreaker palabas dahil sinabi niya. Isipin mo na lang, guys. Doon, nung nakita ni Jane yung nakalagay sa wall, how many seconds yun na dapat sinabi nila niya kay Thor, I know where this goes. So, yun na gagawin nila and then lipad agad sila kung saan nila kailangan pumunta or labanan nila for a while si Gore to a standstill and then kung kailan nilalabas ni Gore lahat ng mga yung mga shadow creatures, then go ahead and teleport dun sa kailangan yung puntahan. Problem solved. So ngayon si Gore will be forced to sabihin na I have the upper hand here, don't forget I have the kids. And then yun na, yung final conflict na meron na dito. Balik ulit si Jane dahil hindi na niya kaya. And I would have rather let her sit down for a while. Katulad ng ginawa na dito. Pero I'm not going to say na dapat natatalo si Thor and pumasok siya. I think dapat nga pumasok pa si Jane na nananalo na si Thor. If they want to make Jane as a more worthy hero, ang mangyayari dito, it's not by defeating Gore. It's by saving the kids. Yun dapat pumasok si Jane Foster. Binigtas niya yung mga kids. Even with sabihin natin yung mga bata, meron silang power in Thor. Those children don't really know how to fight. So, kailangan pa rin ng tulong doon. And then, mission accomplished, balik sila. Now, we are standing in front of whatever God na meron doon. I would take out yung mismong Maganda yung back and forth nilang dalawa. I appreciate that. When it comes to humanity, kung sinong gusto mo mabuhay, who gets to live, who gets to die. No one has a call on that one. I would like to spend more time with Jane rather than with you. Yeah, sure. So, namamatay na si Jane, nabitawan niya yung Mjolnir, and then ngayon, you are faced with a decision. Are you still going to battle Gore in front of eternity or whoever? Or mag-usap kayong dalawa and see what's going to happen next? The logical step is, tama yung ginawa ni Taika. I would have conceded na I would just like to spend a lot more time with the person I love rather than fighting him. Kasi ito na lang yun eh. Even though, di ba, meron pang stakes doon na this person could actually grant any wish that I want to. So, iibahin ko yung hihingin ni Gore. Because now, he gets to flashback, he gets to reflect. Wala na yung sword eh. Now, yung morality niya nandun na, shit, I killed everyone. I killed all of the benevolent gods nandito. I even killed a lot of people who didn't deserve it. Some people talaga, katulad nila Sif, yung mga warriors na hindi naman dapat niya pinapatay. Gore was just going to target the gods rather than the warriors or even normal people. Katulad ng ginawa niya sa New Asgard, di ba? He even targeted the civilians. So now, I'm going to wish that everyone that I killed that didn't deserve it to live. Tapos. And if Gore dies, then so be it. Parang sa akin, di ba, lagi na imply there's an afterlife na magkakasama pa sila. May sinabi pa si Jane she will not be alone. Yun, sasabihin pa rin ni Jane yun, that means magta-transition na tayo from here to wherever na magkasama yung magkama.
Yeah.
And then, you will be left with Thor again alone. And then dito papasok ulit yung Guardians of the Galaxy. Bro, you have any problems? Come join us again. And then magde-decide na siya ngayon whether to stay in New Asgard to help out or go with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Dun, putol na yun. Tapos, I presented a proper plot.
Standing ovation. What I really like about yours that I actually have not been seeing a lot is everything is earned.
Yes, everything
that's
is
one of my
earned
issues
talaga.
also. Everything is earned. Parang sometimes to give way to pacing and to prioritize pacing. They have a problem of giving things out of convenience. Na they already neglect what needs to be earned. Nice.
It's sad, di ba? Parang for me, this is what I would like for people to see. It's not insulting yung intelligence ng people who enjoys these things. My point is why I'm making these discussions is for us to actually share our ideas and how we could have made this a far better thing. So, that's my rewrite. Actually, that's 90% of my rewrite. Meron pang iba. Siguro yung ending. Actually, yung gusto ko pang gawin doon, kaya dumating si Hercules, kasi yung ginagawa pala ni Thor is actually an equivalent doon sa mga ginagawa ni Hercules. Yung ano yun sa mythology, Kuya Bols, ang tawag doon, yung trials ni Hercules. Kasi meron siyang ginagawa yung labors, yung labors ni Hercules. Kasi yun, sa mythology ni Hercules kasi meron siyang parang 10 or 9 labors, 7 labors, kalimutan ko na. Unintendedly, yung palang ginagawa niya. And then nakita ni Hercules.
That
And
would
then
have been nice.
he acted na parang, why, kay Zeus na ending, why is this guy doing my labors? And then question na niya, sabihin ni Zeus sa niya, he was worthy. That's why you don't see my thunderbolts here right now. And then dun na yung conflict. Probably not much better, di ba? Conflict, tawag dito, conflict driver pagdating sa kanilang dalawa, should they face each other in battle? And there you go, my rewrite of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Nice. I think everyone had interesting rewrites actually.
Yeah, everyone.
It was all good. It all made a lot of sense. And I guess we also have the benefit of seeing what makes sense because we see the final product on screen. So we can see what else to do.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to bring up this comment here, JM, because it reminds me of something we talked about when we discussed Doctor Strange with sila PJ. From Laura Sarob, he said, I'd remove the scenes of rewarding bad behavior for all MCU stories, having a tantrum to get what you want. It reminds me of when we talked about how, like, in Phase 4, what happened to the accountability? Diba? Like, all of a sudden, puro character focus on what they're doing, but we're not seeing a lot of how it affects the other people anymore. Or I don't know, maybe they're saving it all for the end of Phase 4 so they know how to usher it into Phase 5, but that's, I think, something that needs to be addressed in the future. And sana they do. Because I think, well, based on what I've been seeing now, parang they're trying to get everything focused into one goal again, but it's a long-term fix. So we'll really just have to see what happens from here.
Yes.
Kuya Boss, ikaw, anything you would like to add pa? Medyo tahimik ka ngayon eh. Ayoko ng ganito eh. Ayoko ng Kuya Boss na tahimik eh.
Hindi pare, siguro bibitaw ko lang to, no? For me, MCU ended in Endgame. To extend
Most
it
of the
even
people
further, MCU ended in No Way Home. Or at least, Phase 4,
No Way Home pwede.
No Way Home is good.
Mm-hmm.
compared to the others that we have been seeing right now. The two others that, di ba? Yung mga sumunod. And at the same
Even
time, yung mga
no,
series.
No Way
This
Home
time
is
kasi,
better than Black Widow. So kasama din 'yun, 'di ba?
well, yes.
Well,
Exactly. Iba kasi yung ginawa nila sa No Way Home, and it
Mm-hmm.
proves, it shows that
Mm-hmm.
there's a future. There
Yes,
can still be.
definitely.
Kasi na-open na yung multiverse eh. Yung possibility of a
Mm-hmm.
multiverse. So, the way how they depicted No Way Home is the best way, or I think a great way to show how massive the multiverse is.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are seeing right now is just plain old phase 2. That is why I'm still gonna watch MCU
Yeah,
movies,
same, same.
but will not expect the same excitement we all had in the previous phases.
Mm.
Yun, at least on my part, yun na yun. Satisfied na ako sa endgame. I will still be here, pero not as, excited as I was before. Maybe, di ko alam kung tumatanda na ako or I'm expecting too much because we saw a lot of
Yep.
continuity that worked
Mm-hmm.
before on the MCU. And baka nawawalan na sila ng bago na maipakita sa atin. Pero I don't know. I hope it can be better. That's what JM said. It's bad writing.
You
no, I
you
mean
really
si
hope
ano din, si
for
Maxine din, eh.
improvement. Yeah. Yeah,
Si
I
Maxine
said
Yeah,
that
din, eh.
yeah,
I
yeah.
said that earlier also. I think that's
Oo,
like
all
even
of
if
us
we
said it.
all have different takes on this, it'll go back to that. We want some rewrites, we want some consistency, and I think what I want is for everyone to just sit down and actually plan what they're going to do next. Because I think they used to do that naman eh, 'di ba? Like even if there were different
Yes.
directors, different handlers, there was
Yes.
that bigger plan. I want
Mm.
to see that bigger plan. But yes, I saw in the comments.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
yeah, free naman to dream. And what I miss also is service to the characters. Cause I think like JM knows my thoughts about Loki. About the first Loki series, and I won't expound because that's going to be a whole episode on its own. But
We'll see.
I just
We'll see kung puwede natin tackle. Yeah,
once
next
again we
time.
can tackle that. I
Next time.
was not a fan of how Loki turned out in the series because I know that that's the Loki from Avengers. That's the Loki that spoke to Scarlet Witch. That's a completely different Loki from the Loki
Yeah.
that died in Infinity War. And I don't feel like that's the Loki we saw in his own TV series. To the
No,
point na I
no.
felt like there were times na yes, it's called Loki. Yes, there are other Lokis, but why does our Loki, why is he all of a sudden not in control? When to me before, I'd see him as someone who was so in control. So
One step
Actually,
ahead of
sinagot
everything.
ni Frank yung question mo. That's
where
it.
is that?
This the co ito yung ano, nagfo-fall
Back to
talaga.
this.
Oo,
Back
actually,
to
just
this.
to expound kasi Maxine, as long as Kevin Feige is in charge of the message, quote
Mm.
unquote, which is more of the whatever social justice and stuff na kailangan nilang gawin, what they're pushing towards
Mhm.
people will always be first. Nagsimula to nung ano na eh, after Endgame or even in
Yeah.
Endgame sinisimulan na nila ito. And it's sad kasi
It
I'm
is.
not really
It's
a
a.
fan of Loki,
Mhm.
but you would at least agree that kung anong ginawa nila dun sa character niya nga, between Thor 1, The Dark
Mhm.
World, yung death nga niya sa Dark World, di ba, nakakalungkot yun eh. Di
Yeah.
ba?
You feel
Nakakalungkot
for
yun, di ba?
him. You feel for him
Mm.
talaga.
And also, yun sa ano,
Mhm.
sa Infinity War, ay, hindi, no, sa
Mhm.
Endgame, it's like, you just took all of those out and then tinapon mo yung ultimate sacrifice na meron
Mhm.
siya.
Yeah.
He redeemed himself as a guardian and also called himself the son of Odin as
Mhm.
well and
Mhm.
saved a bunch of people. Dinelay pa niya yung ginagawa ni Thanos para now you just
Exactly.
threw everything and then what?
Exactly. Like I don't know, but I guess this is another rewrite episode on its own. But Loki kasi is one of my all-time favorite MCU characters, and he still is, which is why for me seeing Loki, though there were some parts of the show that I did like, the ending, the
I like the
overall
old Loki.
treatment. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like the old Loki.
yeah,
He's
the best part of
ano,
this.
'di ba? He's for me like he was a good part of the series, and I thought that that series had a lot of potential, especially when I found out that they were bringing other Lokis and being a Loki fan. Seeing him back, because I know I thought we saw the last of him now, but I was happy to have him back. But then there, all of that happened. So what can we do? Actually, I'll bring up
Yeah.
before I go. I'll bring up something that was brought up in another MCU podcast. Na
Mm.
we said parang phase 1 to 3. You can put it in a box. Like you put it in one box. Everything after Endgame is another box, and
Mm.
it's two different headspaces you need, I guess. And wala, it. I won't say anything, but it is what it
You
is.
know. Okay.
Diba?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we are all probably in agreement. You
Mm-hmm.
guys are leaning more positive to this. Katulad sinabi ni Kuya Boss na he's not going to have any more expectations na if going to compare it to what came before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a
Yeah.
very fair assessment dun sa nangyayari
Mm-hmm.
ngayon. I could totally agree with that. But I'm more black-pilled when it regards to this because I'm not seeing any improvements ever since nagsimula to. So for me, sinabi ko to before and then nagmumukha akong hypocritical dahil nanonood pa ako ng Thor kahit alam ko na I really promised before na hindi ko napapanood yung Thor because I knew what I'm going into kaya hindi na ako ganun ka-disappointed. Maxine knows
Yeah.
this. Nung pinag-usapan
Mm-hmm.
namin yung Multiverse of Madness kung gaano ako
Mm-hmm.
kagalit, ramdam ninyo kung gaano yung
Yeah.
sama ng loob ko sa movie na
Yeah.
yun.
Mm-hmm.
Hindi mo
So
siya
the
masyado
episode.
naramdaman dito kasi wala na akong expectations dito.
Hmm.
But again, I think that's it. We spent almost 3 hours here, and I would like to thank you, gentlemen and lady, for being here. But before we go, Kuya
Fun.
Boss, may ano ba? May final thoughts ka? Not just in the movie, kundi ikaw mismo na as a fan of the MCU. Alam ko sinabi mo ng hindi mo na wala na expectations, papanoorin mo na lang moving forward. Pero is there any lingering thoughts pa na gusto mo sabihin sa mga tao na gusto pang panoorin yung mga movies?
Siguro one piece of advice is, yes, visible, no? Nakikita natin yung mga hindi maganda dun sa script
Mm-hmm.
writing. Pero it doesn't totally mean that you need to cancel those people who enjoy these movies.
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
those people
Mm-hmm.
that like the movie. We can always have a healthy discussion about these Marvel movies that we got. Even
Mm-hmm.
ako na Marvel fan, MCU fan, but not a comic reader, can saw the difference on the script writing and the storytelling. Maybe others too, lalo yung mga nagbabasa sa
Mm-hmm.
comics. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that we need to spread
Malign.
negativity
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
towards the
That's true.
movie. We can argue about it in a healthy
Mm-hmm.
discussion in a
Mm-hmm.
healthy way. Pero wag na kayong masyadong mangansel, guys, to the point na pag may nag-post na magandang review about Thor Love and Thunder, sasabihan nyo ng bayad or hypocrite. Kasi
Yes.
hindi naman yun
Yeah.
maganda. There are some good things and there are also some bad things about the movie. It will all depends on which side will you look at it
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
most. So I guess that's my end message for this podcast, pare.
Yeah. Kuya Balls, schedule.
Hmm.
Anything else that you are happening this weekend for you?
Well, this weekend, since we all got to talk about Thor Love and Thunder, thank you for inviting me again, and it's nice to meet
Always
you,
welcome
Maxine.
here,
And
pre.
hope
You're always
to,
welcome
Nice to
here.
meet you too.
yeah, do this again in a positive, in another movie perhaps, or in another movie that we will all be liking or we will all be watching in another time.
Mm.
For tomorrow, again, guys, topic with the Game Silog show. It's a live show, a hangout show with us that we have a topic that we do not know the context. Hindi namin alam yung topic. So, gulatan yon.
Bukas pa
It's
din
an
malalaman.
impromptu live show. It's every Sunday, 6 p.m. So, I hope you guys could watch us. As of now, I am at Hayatus on stream. Dahil nagbabalik ako on making short clips and doing off-stream games. Nagbabawas ako ng backlogs and natutuwa akong gumawa ng short clips as of now. So, I'm active on TikTok and on Facebook Reels. So, if you guys love this episode or if you love listening to this episode, I hope you can follow me on Facebook and on TikTok. That's Kuya Bols on Facebook and also Kuya Bols on TikTok. That's all, pare.
again, thank you so much for being here, Kuya Boss. Always a pleasure talking to you. I mean, even off, nagchat-chat naman tayo. And
Yeah.
ito yung sasabihin ko sa'yo, na regardless ko anong thoughts ko, ay, di ba alam mo naman medyo negative ako, never ko sinabi sa'yo, you have to hate this movie. You have to hate it. Wala akong
Yeah.
sinasabing ganun.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
going to be by discretion
Mm-hmm.
ng tao if they enjoy it, right? But what I could say
Mm-hmm.
about it, Resident Evil, Netflix wasn't good. Yun ang sabihin ko. But next time, pag-uusapan natin yan. And again, thank you
Yes,
so,
next
bago
one.
kay Maxine, thank you so much din kay Nicole, dumaan dito, kay
Thank you.
Frank, good friend of mine,
Mm.
also kay Raiji,
Thank
na
you,
dapat
guys.
nandito kaso may ginagawa. Um, awesome guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, Maxine,
Thank you.
I know wala kang page eh. I mean, you have
Yeah,
YouTube page.
well, maybe someday I'll make a
Yan.
page. Maybe after this
Nandun sa
I'll
likuran
make a
niya.
page.
You could see
Uh,
yung Instagram handle
yeah,
niya
here.
behind
I'm
her.
mostly on
Yun.
here. I'm mostly on Instagram at Hannah
Instagram.
Maxine Cruz. That's an H at the beginning and the end, two N's in the middle on Instagram. You can also follow my podcast's Instagram at newwave.rk. You can also
Yeah.
view us on Radio Katipunan 87.9 FM, where I interview. I don't get the chance to talk about movies that often. So thank you, JM, for
Yeah.
inviting me to this.
We'll be here
Yeah.
again tomorrow. We'll be
Yes,
here
we'll
again
be here
tomorrow.
again. Exactly, we'll be here again tomorrow. I'm excited for the topic also, but again, we'll
Mm.
deal with that tomorrow. And then
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and I
I'll
guess
try to drop
So,
final,
by, guys.
yeah. And
yeah,
then
sige, syempre.
final,
I'll
yeah,
send you.
final thoughts also. I really enjoyed
Mm.
this discussion. I thought it was healthy na even if we don't 100% agree all the time, we give each other the chance to talk and to explain. We're allowed to have opinions after all. We're not carbon copies of each other. So I really enjoyed that. And on the topic of like my hopes for the MCU, you can love something and critique it. I know it sounds like I didn't
Yes.
like the movie. Because like if
No,
you're a
you
casual watcher,
actually
diba? Yeah,
highlighted some good
I
things.
enjoyed it naman. But of course, you can love something and critique it. And I had
Yes.
a lot of critique for this talaga. And I think I'll keep the same mindset moving forward in the MCU. Sana they start bringing back a lot of the magic that happened earlier. And I'm still going to be hopeful for that. I want redemption. I want redemption. But yes, we shall see what the future holds. So thank you
You know,
again,
siguro
JM.
you know what doesn't have any redemption
Here we
is
go.
this. This
Oh,
doesn't have any redemption.
I was waiting for this the whole time. I
Sorry,
wanted to talk about how the background looked two-dimensional in the beginning.
out of nowhere, a floating head talks to you without any context, di ba? Pansin mo, don't have any context. Bigla mo na, oh, this is Heimdall's son. Oh, okay. Ganun si Thor, di ba? Parang, oh my God. Not to mention, this movie has 250 million budget. So, they could have done better pagdating sa CGI. Again, siguro napunta siya pagbayad kay Christian Bale. And also kay Natalie Portman. The main
Oh.
reason why Natalie Portman wasn't in any Thor movie after the Dark World is
Dark
because
World.
of disputes in Taming. And also in the
Oh.
direction in Thor. So I think that's fair enough. We're not going to nitpick. That's a nitpick kung sasabihin mo na kasi ento
Mm.
pay. That's between them. What we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about here is ayun nga, what we're talking about here is the continuity problems and
Mm-hmm.
also what could have been done better. And yeah, Delora, I'm not sure kung sino ka, pero I have a feeling kung sino ka. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk later. Daddy Player One is already here. Too late,
Uy,
sir, but you could
51.
go back.
Hello.
Also a
Yeah,
gamer. Gamer din siya. Magandang gabi sa'yo, sir.
MCU
Balik ka na
fan
ng
din.
konti. You get to see kung anong pinag-usapan namin in good takes, great takes ni Kuya Bols, ni Jay, at saka ni Maxi. So for me, tomorrow it's going to be a rare Sunday stream for me.
Mm.
Maxine here will be with me and also si Gail from Gail Ray Gaming.
Yeah. JM,
Kuya
may
Bols,
nagtatanong, ano daw yung topic niya for tomorrow?
mo,
Si sabi ni
topic
Nicole.
nyo. Baka kayo. Kayo. Topic to.
Hindi, kasi yung sa amin wala kaming topic and it's a
Okay.
secret. So, most likely yung
Tomorrow,
show nyo tomorrow.
Nicole, punta ka sa page sa Zero Hour Discussions, makikita mo kung ano, pero sabihin ko na rin ngayon, it's going to be Wanda from WandaVision. We're going to
Yan.
break down a video na nagsabi about certain something regarding Wanda. Na I don't agree, and probably yung guests ko tomorrow won't agree or probably agree. Let's see. Going to be a healthy discussion. Lots more laughs and also comedic side rather than dito medyo seryoso. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this the session that we have. moving forward, we'll try to maintain this. I will try to invite them again. Hopefully, may magandang movie. Top Gun, hindi ko napanood. Panoorin nyo. So,
Oh, I wanted to
that,
see that
that
also. Waiting for
it's
it.
a good movie. So, it's still showing. After
Yeah.
Mm, okay.
almost 2 months, it's still showing. Ganun kaganda yung
Amazing.
movie, and also crossed $1 billion in revenue.
Kasi yung Elvis
So,
nawala agad eh.
I didn't even know it was
sayang.
out.
Maganda yung
It was like
Elvis.
a few days. I don't
Yeah.
think it
It's
reached
because
a week
it's
here.
because
Yeah.
dahil hindi siya ganun kapatok dito locally. Probably tinanggal nila.
Mm.
Same with Jurassic World, tinanggal
1
din
week
nila
only.
kagad.
Yeah.
Wala. We
Kaya
have to
nga eh.
resort to something else, if you know what I mean. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Cutting.
guys, for being here. Everyone
Thank
else na
you for
nag-guest
having
namin,
us.
Jay, thanks dito. So we're going to end now. See you tomorrow. Take care and good night.